Hope everybody's doing fine. Oh, me, there's so much going on, man, especially in the gear world. CP Plus coming up. So many other people talking about the Z8. It's going to be interesting. Has daylight saving changed everything again? I don't know. Roy. How you doing, Ted? Mr. ATR Bear. Daryl, Greg. All right, so we got a lot to get into tonight for those that want to actually join the conversation. Nikon rumors, I guess, hadn't received anything, or maybe they heard something saying that Nikon's not going to announce anything at CP Plus. Man, if that's the case, I'll tell you what, get ready for some serious rants from me. How you doing, Joe Man's Land? Joey, I didn't catch your premiere. Sorry, obviously I was sitting here getting ready for this. Gustavo, hope you're well. Who is Seraphin? How you doing, sir? All right, we'll let some more people get in here. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about what's going on? Is there anybody heard Nikon rumors talking about they don't expect anything from Nikon at CP Plus? Chosen by design. Wife commanded me to do laundry, but I'm here. Well, you can do laundry and be here too. I did laundry again today. I did laundry yesterday. So all the laundry is done. My wife is very happy. I don't mind doing that. But yeah, it's getting crazy out here with the Z8, whatever, rumors and everything else. Sahari, hey, greetings from Malaysia. Thank you, sir. You must have run into my Malaysian connection over there, John Ishii, or maybe Mr. Sanjit Paul. More distractors popping up on the screen over here. ZFC2 is coming. Yeah. No, I mean, even that would be something, Seraphin. The thing is that, Nikon's not giving us anything. That includes information or, hey, hang on, we're coming or anything. Nothing. Crickets is all we get. Z-Wade Photo did a video today and he kind of hinted towards that as well. Nothing but crickets. Still waiting for the C500, Woody. Well, I got news for you, buddy. That is not the camera that's on the radar right now for the majority of people. Hopefully, we'll see one. But remember, Nikon's only produced 2 of those. Well, one was an upgrade, got an upgrade, and then we had to wait forever till we got the Z5 or D500. Z300, 300S, and then the Z300. Good gracious, man. D300, D300S, and the D500. How long was the lag between the D300S and the D500? It was quite a while. So we'll see what Nikon does now in the Z camera APS-C Pro body, but I don't expect to see that anytime soon. Not this year. I could be wrong, but I don't expect to see it this year. Okay. You haven't run into them. All right. Yeah, I just thought maybe they had passed the word over there. They're both in Malaysia. But good to meet you, sir. Glad you're here. Hope you'll join us for more. Get ready for the ZFC Platinum. Available only in Asia. Yeah, Nikon's pulled that on us too, haven't they? Chuck has Z8-itis. Yeah, I kind of do. Only because my camera manufacturer that I actually use, Nikon, hasn't put out a body since October. See, I'm not including the APS-C, the Z30. Hasn't put out a body since October of 21. Whoa, what happened to my... Man, looked over here at the other screen and it's terrible. Must be having a bandwidth issue tonight. Could be for me. I don't know. Been lurking for a while, huh? All right. Well, glad you jumped into the chat. That's great. You know, you need to get in here and share your opinions and ideas with everybody else. Gustavo, if not CP Plus, what is the next logical time for the announcement? You know, I know that they have done announcements at CP Plus, you know, through the years. They have done them, not every year, but they have done announcements at CP Plus. But as I thought about it, if this is going to be a huge announcement, the Z8 on the order of the Z9, and I kind of think that it might be because of all the time that they're taking, they may not want to do this at CP Plus. They may want to do an invitation announcement. And, you know, that's one of the things we've heard about in the past is, you know, Nikon sends out invitations to people to come to the announcement, even though we may not know. Well, we may know what the announcement's going to be, but Nikon hadn't actually said anything yet. Nothing like that's happened unless everybody's very close-lipped. So we're just kind of waiting to see now. So if it's not at CP Plus, I think Nikon Rumor said they think end of March, beginning of April. So I don't know. I think that's just a guess as well. Who knows? I mean, right now, nobody knows anything. Well, those that are playing with the cameras and lenses, the prototypes, they know. They have a real good idea, maybe. But we have no idea because Nikon hasn't leaked anything. It's crazy. Tim Hunter says, my spies are saying expect a development announcement for a Nikon marketing department. Yeah. And, you know, there are people that are still defending Nikon's marketing. And maybe I am just completely wrong, but I can't see how anybody could credit Nikon's marketing program with anything. Oh, Daryl, good to see you. Nikon's 2 new lenses are interesting. Yes, they are. They are, but just like Z Wade said, it was here and gone. I mean, one day we get the big announcement of the 85 1.2 and the 26 2.8 pancake lens, and then that's it. It's crickets after that. So, you know, we Nikon people don't do a good job of actually promoting new equipment, new gear, or anything. So we're to blame. But, you know, Nikon they seem to have been willing to let that just fly right under the radar after the initial announcement. So I don't know, man. I have no idea. I know Nikon has a booth, the equivalent to Canon's square footage at CP Plus. So I don't know what they're going to do, what they're going to show off, or what they have to show at that booth other than a bunch of super telephoto primes and some prototype 85 1.2 and 26 2.8. And I guess they could throw the Z30 back up there again for another round. But beyond that, I mean, come on, the Z9, you know, I guess I'm sure they'll have Z9s there as well. But I mean, what's new? What's going on, Nikon? So Hero says we want something with a Z9 processor, but costs $679. That's all. Yeah, that's typically the way it goes, you know, with camera bodies and everything else. Everybody complains because they buy a $1,500 body or $2,000 body, and they want everything in that body that you would get in a flagship. And, you know, obviously that's not going to be the case. You're going to have to pay for the convenience of a flagship, not just the tech that's inside of it. But you know, I think AF should be across the board, no matter what. Let's see. Sorry, just got a notification. I didn't know if somebody was coming in. I guess not. So back to the show. So anyway, you know, the AF, I think, needs to trickle down into all the bodies below the Z9. That's a given. I think the processor will be the X-Speed 7. I don't think you're going to see an X-Speed 6 in any of the prosumer bodies, to include the whatever you're going to call the Z8 or Z7 III, whichever one, which one of them is going to be the a pro body. I'm sure they're going to call it a pro body. But that said, I think you could say all of the cameras that exist right now, Z6 II, Z7 II, Z6, Z7, I think they're pro bodies as well, to be honest, if it's just based on build and specs. Yeah, their next financial year is April, begins April. But you know what? A development announcement wouldn't hurt, would it? That doesn't count against them as long as they don't deliver until April, which I'm not a fan of, but I would take that. You know, any news is good news for as long as we've been waiting for Nikon to tell us what's going on. Yeah, Luke, Steve did put out a good video comparing the A1 to the Z9. And what I like about Steve Perry is he's honest, meaning he critiques the cameras or lenses, and he's not afraid to talk about some negatives. He calls it like it is. And I thought it was a very fair review based on his usage. And he's had both cameras for a while. So it's, you know, we've been saying this on the channel for a while now. You can't buy a bad camera in the upper tier of any manufacturer right now. I don't think you can. And that's basically what I think he was saying. Hang on just a second. Boy, being a one-man band, I'll tell you, it's hard to keep the flow going and keep track of everything else that's going on. Z Wade. Let's see. Could you imagine if they would have seized the opportunity to launch it out of nowhere with the 8512, because those two items would be a great pairing. Oh, the 1.2, 85 1.2. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because everybody's expecting it to be super high megapixel. I don't know. Well, when I say that, I think when they say that, they're saying anything above 45 megapixel. I don't think they want another 45. They, being those that are looking for the high megapixel body, don't want 45. They want something larger or a lot higher. Yeah, their marketing is terrible. I agree, Hero. I've been saying this for a long time. This is why I get some negative reviews from people out there, I guess. There's so many fanboys, Nikon fanboys. Again, I'm not a fanboy. I like Nikon. I like the products, the cameras, the lenses. I have no intention of leaving Nikon unless they leave me. And that's a story for another time, or in the future even maybe. But their marketing is absolutely horrid, I'll tell you. Roy says Nikon's marketing department are still on holiday. Yeah, I believe they are. They've been on holiday for a while. Robert Varner, Nikon has marketing. Yeah, you know, we pick on it a lot, and there are a lot of people that try to take up for Nikon. And, you know, sometimes I have to stop and think, okay, well, maybe you got a point there. But when I look at the overall picture, I can't see any marketing going on by Nikon. It hadn't been for a long time. I don't know what people consider marketing. You know, it's not just the Nikon flooding the airwaves with Nikon commercials or anything like that. There are many other ways to market your product. And one of them is to probably tell people that are trying to help you, Nikon, that are out there saying, well, you know, the camera you have is just fine. Does it not take good pictures? You know, you don't need the newest camera. You don't need new lenses. The old lenses are great. I take pictures with them all the time. You don't need a new camera. Is that a marketing plan for any corporation? What if GM or Ford or Chrysler or whatever, or any car manufacturer said, you know what, you don't need the new model. As a matter of fact, this year, we're not going to build a new model because the car that you have is just fine. It's still giving you plenty of good service. It's in good shape. You really don't need another car. But we at Subaru appreciate you considering our new products. I mean, does that make sense? I hear people saying it all the time. Yeah, let's kill the manufacturers by telling people they shouldn't go buy new products. That's a good ploy. I don't know what this actually means yet. I've been mulling this over, Joey. What do I think about limited third-party lens production support rumor? And that's what it is. I don't know what to think about it yet. I don't think it's as horrid as everybody thinks it may be. Like, oh no, Nikon's going to shut it down. Third-party lenses are going to be stuck with, covering focal lengths that nobody wants or whatever. I don't know what to think of it yet. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what comes of that. But immediately everybody goes to the absolute negative. Oh, Nikon, look, you complained about Canon, but Nikon's going to do the same thing or even worse or whatever. I don't think it's going to be as bad as initially everybody wants it to be. Hey, you got an email, Joey, by the way. Let's see. Z Wade, I'm a little slow tonight. Let's see. Talk to text, LOL. You lost me, man. Mr. Joey, Joe Man's Land. Or Joe.
Hey, Chuck, how's it going?
What's up, buddy?
Much. How about yourself?
Doing well, brother. I'm sorry I missed your premiere, but obviously I was over here trying to get everything to work again.
No, it's all good. It was last minute one. I saw you had your stream coming on at 7, so I was like, maybe I can quickly get this video up before his video goes live.
Well, there you go. Joe Man's Land just put out a new video, and he was talking about profiles for the Z6 for video. You might want to check it out. Any of you, and does anybody do video, by the way? Because we've had this conversation before, but I'm really getting, perturbed by people that hate video and want Nikon to get out of the video business. Video is selling cameras, folks, and everybody brought up the people that they think are helping Nikon marketing, like Morton Hilmer. We talked about Bayou Josh, Steve Perry. Guess what? They're using video. There you go. Maybe they need to start telling people, hey, by the way, I'm shooting this video on blah, 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 blah. Because we need to educate our own masses in Nikon, because we pretend to be stills only. I know a lot of you don't care about video. That's fine, but don't be so negative out here with the rest of the world about video. Quit with the negativity. It's not helping Nikon. Nikon's got to get in the video world, and they have the perfect opportunity to do that right now. So let's not pick on them and say, we don't want video in the camera. All I want is a stills only body. Nikon made those. There are plenty of them still around. You get them in pawn shops everywhere. They're called film cameras. They're everywhere. And they're cheap. Not the best of them, but they're cheap. Go get you a film camera and shoot some film to soothe that urge to, tear video apart. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in a ranting mode tonight. I hate to be, but I kind of am.
No, Chuck. Chuck, I think what you're saying about video is totally fair, right? I think it's an underrated area, and I don't think Nikon needs to necessarily focus on it, but don't remove it, because I'd say, like, hybrid wise, that's the reason I love my Z6, is because I can switch between stills and video instantly. If I'm on like a Canon, it takes the camera a second to boot into video mode.
Yeah.
And, I think that, people don't need to necessarily love video, but it adds so much value to everyone, right, in terms of the consumers that they're going after. And on top of that, I mean, like, the Z9 is probably one of the best hybrid cameras, period, to date. And for video, it's unreal. Like, it's specs are it's excessive, really. Like, it's excessively good in the video space, right? And I think, like, that video that I just dropped, it was more just based around the fact that there isn't internal N-Log feature on the Z6 built in.
Right.
So I downloaded all these flat LUTs or flat color profiles for the camera to try to, like, color grade and stuff. And my friend was just like, "You look like a tomato in everything you're making. Like, stop it. Just use the color profiles that are there, because there's not really any point in shooting flat if you only got 8-bit, right?" So it's kind of what I was jumping into there. But even still, I think the Z6 for video is awesome. It's got great features, and I honestly, if they unlocked, like, I don't know, maybe 60 frames and a firmware update, if that was even possible, then, like, I wouldn't switch, period. Like, I would just stick with my Z6. But I'm really hoping that whatever they come up with.
The 3 points for selling hybrid cameras right now are 10-bit, 422,
Yep.
and also shoot 120 frames per second, 4K 120.
Yep. And 6K 30 or
Those are
something
the
like
three
that.
big things. And if you can put those in a camera body, you're going to have a lot of hybrid shooters that want to buy that body, because that's what, look at what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is going to that form factor now, all the way down to some cameras being the entry level cameras almost. Maybe not the 4K 120 yet, but 422 10-bit, yeah. And everybody, and if you don't know what it is, look, I can't give you the scientific explanation or the tech explanation for it. I know what it is. I have an understanding of what it is because I deal with my stepson all the time. We're doing a lot of video. He's doing a lot of video, and that's what he's waiting for. He's getting ready to buy a body, and he wants to know what to buy. And it's been difficult for me to lead him to what to buy. Oh, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? I'm a Nikon shooter, and I'm not saying just go buy Nikon. Because I know that there's something better coming from Nikon, but I can't answer when. And I would hate to tell him go buy a Z6 right now, even though a Z6, as you were saying, Joe, with the firmware update, that 2.0 did wonders for the video side of that camera. The AF and video is fantastic.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's great. The autofocus improved immensely. That's actually what my next video is going to be about, is cranking up the autofocus motors on the settings on your Z6, because like I noticed even that like made a huge difference. And I know some people are like, oh, it's not cinematic if you speed it up and the transitions are too quick. It's like, yeah, but the autofocus is working. Like I feel like if you're vlogging and you don't have a flip out screen, like that's all you care about is that it's in focus.
Yep. And there you go, Z6, bam, got my hand in focus, I move it, and bam, I'm in focus. I mean, it's just that quick. That's how good it is. It is really good. 100%. So I'm happy with that. And I think, Nikon obviously needs to make sure they continue that throughout whatever bodies they put out there. I understand that the Z30 isn't bad. I don't know because I don't own one, but I understand that the AF and video on the Z30 is pretty good. So there you go. But now let's put some of the other action-packed features in it. And everybody says, why do you need 120, in 4K? B-roll. And if you don't understand video, you hate video, you're not going to understand why that's important. But it is for all those that are content creators. So, yeah, man. Roy says he expects the Z8 to be 61 megapixel. It very well could be, Roy. It could be even higher. I have no idea. Nikon's taken enough time. This thing could be built out of meteorites. It's taken so long to gather all of the materials or whatever. I expect it to be, and you know what? Nikon's treading on thin ice here, because as long as they're taking, everybody's expecting it to be a showstopper. I mean, top of the line, not to be outdone for a year or two. And if it isn't, it's not going to bode well. We waited all this time for this. So I'm hoping, Nikon's on notice. I mean, who am I? A little channel here. But, I believe that people will drop in and watch, and they carry the thoughts that we go over here on the channel out there and spread them with everybody else. And a lot of people may not like what we say, or especially what I say, but I do believe Nikon hears from us little channels out here. Here's what we're saying. And you know what? It won't bode well if they take all this time and we wind up with a lackluster product. I don't think we will, but, we better not, because the villagers will be in an uproar. They will be walking the streets with pitchforks and torches, heading to the Nikon USA building. All right. And Roy goes on to say, unless there's another breakthrough, I think 61 megapixels is the realistic limit for full frame sensor. I don't know, Roy. I don't know. You what, 8-10 years ago, 36 megapixel was about the limit, as we, talked about it then. Who knows? I'm not one that wants a, 61 or 71 or 80 or, 90 megapixel camera. I'm happy at 45, but that doesn't mean the people that want a higher megapixel camera shouldn't have it. So anyway, jumping down here a little bit. Roy, I only do video when I have to. I know I'm catching up. This is based on the conversation about 10 minutes ago. Sorry about that. Seraphim says that video is the devil's work. Oh, man. Yeah, video is a lot more painless now. You're right, Roy, with mirrorless. No doubt about that. All right. Joe Dixon, hello. Saying hi to you too, Mr. Joe Man's Land. I'm trying to get to the bottom here. I'm going to turn it loose and get some ideas from the audience of what they want to talk about tonight. A $5,500 camera should be a great video camera. I agree. Now, with the technology we have, it's easy to do too. Well, I say easy, but you know, we have the technology now.
Well, even looking at that newest Canon drop at the R8, they packed a pretty good amount of tech for the price that it's going for.
Yeah,
I think a lot of vloggers will be thinking about that. So it's nice to, like, I'm not a Canon guy, but like they definitely do have a pretty well-rounded lineup of cameras now for a lot of different price points. So
yeah,
it's kind of scary.
Oh man. Yes, sir. All right. Back over here now. Got that out of the way.
So, Chuck, are you thinking about getting into droning anytime soon?
No.
You want to.
I've always been thrilled with drone capture, but it's just another thing. I mean, to add to the plate, to force myself to go do. And since I haven't been shooting near as much as I have in the past, next thing you know, I'm out there just shooting drone footage, and everybody get tired of that real quick. And that means I have to edit.
Video editing's so much fun, Chuck.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Especially color grading.
Yeah, Zahart, definitely a great autofocus. No doubt about that. As far as the next camera is coming and on the video side, you definitely need it. And again, the Z6 is actually pretty daggone good at this price point. And with that new firmware update, what was it, 2 years ago? You all understand the reason we got a Z6 II and a Z7 II, right? It's not a new model. It's not another model by any stretch of the imagination. It was a quick fix. It was a quick fix to beat all the trash talk about a one card slot camera. And Nikon had a little bit of technology left on the table, or new from the point of designing and building, developing the Z6, and said, well, let's throw in a little bit more capability. Oh, we got plenty of these XP 6 processors. Let's throw 2 of them in the camera. Which brings me to a talking out loud point that I'm going to do. How many of you believe that Nikon can't get any more out of the Z6 II or the Z7 II? Because I'll tell you right now, it's no better than the Z6, in my opinion, other than it has 2 card slots. It really isn't much better. I think Nikon has held on to a major firmware update in the Z6 II, Z7 II, because they don't want it to be, and it sounds crazy. Here you go, conspiracy. Let me put my tinfoil hat on. We want to put out a Z8 or a Z6 III or a Z7 III. And if we improve the 6 II and the 7 II too much, too many people are going to go, hey, the camera I have is just fine. I don't need to upgrade. What do you think? I think we may see a great firmware update on the 6 II and the 7 II after the next camera's announced. I don't know. Am I crazy for even thinking this? What do you think?
And also interesting that there's a rumor that there might be another Z6 firmware update coming up pretty soon as well, before the Z6 2 update potentially. So that's kind of crazy because I mean that last firmware update was what, like 4 or 5 months ago for the Z6 and Z7.
Yeah,
That's pretty recent.
yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. We've got some interesting times going on right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Man. All right. Okay. All right. I'm just babbling. I'm sorry. I'm definitely out of sorts tonight. I was doing something else before we got started and never got my thoughts together. Let me catch
Just
up.
like Nikon marketing, Chuck. It's okay.
There you go. Yep. There
No
you go.
consistent message. It's just constantly changing. It's all right. I seriously think like Nikon's PR person might be related to Joe Biden because he's just like, oh, America's then just trails off. It's like, where's the message? Tell us what's happening, please, for the love of God.
Kind of forgot where we're at or what's going on or whatever.
Like I keep sneaking in.
We have a new
Canon
camera coming out. I don't
events.
know. So CRAW 87 says they're going to get as many megapixel as Sony can supply them. And no. Sony Semiconductor, if you got the money, they'll build whatever you want as long as it's within their capability. Yes, I know that everybody's been picking up on, well, we have a 61 megapixel sensor, but you got to understand that's a blank slate. It's like buying a car with no seats, no interior, no whatever. This is your 2023 Camaro, but it doesn't have any interior in it. And it doesn't have a motor, doesn't have a drivetrain. And you design what you want to put in it. That's how that works. But everybody gets caught up in this. Nikon's buying right off the shelf the same sensor that Sony Imaging is using in their cameras. It's not even close, other than the baseline, the boilerplate sensor. And then Nikon designs it the way they want it, just like anybody else that's buying from Sony Semiconductor. So no, they're not going to just buy it off the shelf. We're going to get the 61 megapixel sensors that they didn't use in the A1. Not how it works, guys. Not even close. But it's always great for conversation to get people riled up in a conversation about, Sony makes Nikon sensors. They haven't always done that. But anyway, I won't stick to that too long here.
If Sony was making those sensors, you think that their color science would improve over the years? Because I mean, do you know what? I'll give Sony this. Like, they pack a lot of punch, like spec wise, into their cameras, but I look like even more of a tomato when I edit those videos. Like, it's even worse.
Yep. Oh man. I keep looking over here at the other screen. I don't know why it's lagging so much. I think tonight I have a bandwidth issue here going on.
Yeah. Actually, here's a contestive question for you, Chuck. Some of the smaller camera manufacturers, like was it Pentax that got bought up by Ricoh, or was it vice versa? I can't remember. But what if DJI and Nikon merged into one company, and then they were able to get their own manufacturing and a bit more going on R&D? What do you think of that, Chuck? The DJI Nikon coalition.
I don't know. If Nikon could do that, I'd like to know why they can't expand their production capability rather than another company or whatever. And, we go back to, this brings us right back to, does Nikon want to be, the third player in the market? And if they do, that's okay. That's fine. Let us know, because then that plays into how people make a decision for a brand that they want to move into. If you know that your brand, whatever brand it is going to take forever to get the products in your hand, and that has been the case with Nikon. And I know everybody's going to say, well, other manufacturers have had that problem. No, not to the extent Nikon has. But if they want to say that, make that point that we're happy in third as far as marketing goes. We love our R&D. We're going to continue to innovate and bring great technology to the table, the camera market, the video market, and everything else. That's fine. However, it may take a while for you to get it once we put it into production. And I think I'd be happy with that. They take all the wind out of my sail. I couldn't be on here bashing them because that's what their plan is and that's what they're going to do. But right now, again, it's all unknown to us. And I think that's the hardest pill to swallow, is we don't hear anything.
For sure. Although just one comment I saw in the chat there was about DJI being kind of nasty to deal with. I'm sorry you had that experience, Roy. I haven't had that experience myself. I've actually had really good interactions with their staff before. I've had different issues with my drones and stuff like that over the years, and they've been really good at repairing things. The one thing I will say that's not good that they do is they brick some of the older drones with the newer firmware updates. So that's kind of sketch, but I've crashed a couple drones and set them in. They've literally just replaced them for me. So, you know, at least in terms of dealing with the customer service team, I've always had a pretty good fine. I found that's being pretty good both here in Canada and in South Korea as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just flustered tonight because especially since I heard the Nikon rumors thing about there isn't going to be, they've heard or they think or whatever, there won't be an announcement at CP Plus. You know, even if it's not a, hey, here it is, the official announcement for, give us what did they give us last time? A development announcement for the Z9. Give us something like that. Just let us know. There are a lot of people, and actually there are quite a few of you guys out there have emailed me in the last couple of months talking about, should I wait or should I, because right now I'm ready to move. I want a new camera body, and Nikon doesn't have anything that I'm interested in. And what should I do? Should I wait? I can't answer that question. You know, for those of you that I have tried to answer it, I can only tell you it's up to you, man. You know, the minute you move, it's like anything else. The minute you do it, the minute you go out and buy another camera, another brand, Nikon's going to say something. But if you wait, it'll be 6 months before Nikon says anything. And either way, I'm going to be the bad guy. So I'm not going to tell you what you need to do, but I get people constantly telling me I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with Nikon and no information or anything else. And for those of you who want to call us all petulant children, you go ahead. We don't care. We know what we want, and that's that.
I love it, Chuck. I like Eric's comment. Did anyone notice that Panasonic has upped their game? Yeah, well, I think the thing that's really neat about the S5 too, and I would love to see, is like what the autofocus is like. 'Cause I know that they just put in phase detect on that, and that was kind of the biggest upgrade. But I mean, out of camera, like the S5, like had so many great video specs crammed into it. So if they've got that autofocus fixed, which it looks like they have on a lot of the videos different influencers and creators have been creating, the autofocus looks pretty good. So no, it's interesting. I've never been a huge fan of the Panasonic like lens lineup per se, but the bodies I think are pretty interesting.
I'm just looking through the comments, trying to catch up here a little bit, and I got a couple. And Greg Wilson, no, I haven't finished it yet. Actually, I haven't worked on it in the last week. I got the information that I want to put together so I can at least point to where you can go find these different things. If you're wanting to set up a streaming studio, I really need to get one of these, younger guys like Mr. Joe Man's Land here to work with me on it.
More than happy to.
He's so smart. Yeah, Craig, as far as buying the 61 megapixel sensor, from Sony, having them produce the sensor that Nikon wants. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's probably a lot more economical to do that. So my rant a minute ago had nothing to do with what's economical. I mean, it was just the fact that people get caught up in, they think that the exact same, I mean, like you're taking the sensor out of the A1 and putting it in a camera for Nikon, and that's not the case at all. Let's see. And Roy talks about this quite often. For you guys who want to tap into a giant brain when it comes to Nikon and so much information, experience with Nikon, Roy Bigsby is the man. And here he just makes the comment Nikon, when Nikon made their own sensors, there was something special about the images. And he's right. The D5. Yeah, I own the D5. And who was it? Somebody, was it you? Uh, was it you, Raw, that said something about difference between the Z6 and Z6 II? I have both of them. I have both cameras. The Z6 I'm using for streaming, and the Z6 II I have over there on the shelf with other cameras. I like this name. I probably can't even begin to say it right. Cyberlek. I like it. FPS, frames per second. Just trying to figure it out. Welcome to the show. I hope we get a lot of people in here and we can get a lot of people actually that want to be vocal. Again, guys, for those of you that haven't been in here before, this is a completely different stream than anything else on the internet on YouTube. I think it's about you guys. It's not about me. I just sit up here and run my mouth to keep everything moving. But you're more than welcome to come on the panel, to be here live and actually speak your piece and chat with us. Or I have a telephone line set up for this. I will open that up right now so that anybody that might want to call in, you are more than welcome to call in. So here's the phone number, and anybody that would like to call in can do so. And whatever the audience wants to discuss, we'll discuss. I pick a topic only to get things started because YouTube and its craziness says, and all the YouTubers and all the content creator experts say I must have a topic because that's what we're used to on YouTube. I can't just say we're going to have a live stream because nobody will show up and they don't know what it's going to be about. So anyway, I pick a topic. We may stick with that topic for a long time. We might move off that topic, and typically we do, because also understand, if you've never been here before, we do some marathon live streams. We're going to go 3 hours at least. And we've gone as far as we're just short of 7 hours on our longest live stream. And that was too much, I will admit. I was wore out. But anyway, that's the kind of channel this is. It's for the community. I know it sounds corny, but it's true. And you have a voice and you get recognized. Your comments get recognized. And again, you can take it up another level and call into the show. And you're on the show live with the guests that are in the panel and with everybody that's in the chat. Or you can step it up another notch and just come on the show. And it's as simple as, if you have the ability to stream, all you have to do is click the link that I send, because I use Restream, and you're here. It's just that easy. It really is. Except for the audio. You're going to have a problem with audio, because we all do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the other thing as well. You don't have to like plug in your Nikon and set up the webcam utility. Like right now, I'm just using a webcam and a gaming headset that I use for teaching. Well, I used to use for teaching kids. Right. I mean, it doesn't look as good as Chuck's setup. Chuck's got the studio and the M&Ms, and I look like I'm in a washed out.
The M&Ms are a must.
I mean, what am I doing, Chuck? If I don't have sugar, then what am I doing?
No, right? Well, and coffee, of course.
Yeah, this is rookie hour on my side. You know, the Canadians aren't doing it right.
All right, since we're kind of off the subject for a minute, I just got this. Tell me what this is. This just showed up in Restream today. I don't know if that's going to me or if it's just an example or what, but they've sent it to me in my templates here that I could put up.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen this before. So like, oh, well, I mean, I've seen other YouTubers that have like almost like a Patreon page where like people can buy them coffee. So is this like this, or is it just, I think maybe it's just like put in some money and you can use it for whatever you want. They're just saying, they're framing it just as a coffee thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But there is another one here. Now, this one's interesting too.
Hey, someone scanned it.
Did they? Hang on. Let me go back to the chat. So where did it take you?
Z Wade's making coffee, is going to join us. Nice. We have many things to talk about, Z Wade. many things.
Hey,
to
look
do.
who's in here with us tonight. How you doing, Mr. Jeffrey? Good to see you. Sorry it took so long to get down here to the bottom of the chat, but I got excited when somebody scanned it. And so this QR code, who was it? Seraphin said it's a scam. Oh, well, I don't know. I got to find out, but this is all from Restream. So I don't know why they sent these new or these QR codes. I noticed it as soon as I fired it up to go live. All right. Oh, man. Let's see. Busy now. I watch parts of Chuck show and the part after the fact most of the time. Okay. So everybody's been asking about you, Jeffrey. Every stream I get questions. Where's Jeffrey? We love Jeffrey. Where is Jeffrey? So there you go, folks. Here's your chance. You got him cornered right now. He just got his 800 PF, so he's, I'm sure, been busy with that. But here you go. Talk to Mr. Jeffrey. Greg Wilson already talking to you, Jeffrey. Prashant Valal, Nikon Z8. Yes, win. Flintlock, how you doing? Jeffrey says, I'm not dead yet. Well, we're glad to hear that, buddy. We're glad to hear that. All right, so here's your chance, folks. Again, you want to call in, you want to talk. You know what's funny is a lot of people give me advice on how to do the live stream, but I can't get them to come in here and participate. If you haven't been on live, you haven't experienced life. And you may think it's easy, but there are no retakes. And what you say, it becomes gospel. You can't get away from it. So that may be why so many people don't do live streams, because you're stuck with what you say. And
The wise words of Caddyshack, Agunka Galunka.
And Manny Ortiz said that, a while back. He was talking about the fact that he doesn't like doing live streams because he's afraid of what he may say or whatever. Hey, I got a
About
one up here. How come I got this little icon up here? It says one QR code. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
That's going to be interesting after this thing's over. I don't know. I just saw it. Like I said, it's brand new. I just saw it when I fired everything up and got ready for the stream. I didn't check it out or anything else. But what's new? I don't read the manuals. You can always send it back and get it fixed.
I like C-Roll's comment. The XH2S is a mini Z9. That's going to get some people fired up. Honestly, I love the XH2S and the XH2. I think they're both dope cameras. Like if I was really like APS-C is my space, this is my jam, I don't need depth of field. Like I think that they're the two best crop sensor cameras in the market right now. Like I think, again, like we always talk about photo versus video, right? Like what's your priority? Like only be a photo camera, only be a video camera. And it's funny because like most Fuji shooters, only photo, but they have some of the best video specs, in my opinion, crammed into those little cameras. Like they're awesome. Like you can make the argument they are the best hybrid camera, at least in the APS-C world. Like they do such a good job.
Robert Daniels, what's going on, man? You're speaking alien. How come you're not watching the race? I figured that's the reason I haven't seen you on Saturday nights. You're watching the races. For those of you that don't know, we are Supercross and motocross fans. Oh, Jeffrey, whenever I die, bury a roll of film in the ground, see if it grows. Jeffrey is an old film camera buff. He likes the history behind them as well. You guys, you know what? And I just saw that, Jeffrey. Yeah, you know what? If we did a lot of clickbait, we could probably get a lot of people that would come to the channel. I don't know if they would subscribe or not, unless you keep the clickbait going. But I can't believe that they would they wouldn't unsubscribe down the road if you didn't continue with the clickbait. Then they would know what you were doing. Again, man, I am all flustered tonight. I got so much on my mind. Sorry, guys. It's
Chuck,
crazy.
I haven't seen you this fired up in a while. I think that rumor really rattled you, like to your core.
Yeah, of course, because I've been on the Z8 kick for a long time, which everybody knows. I've actually lost a few people because of my Z8 rants or my Nikon rants.
I mean, no, it just means you're passionate, right? I think
absolutely.
That's the other thing as well, is when you don't have a clear brand message or a roadmap painted for people of when things are going to drop, other than Jared Polin putting out a video poo-pooing a lens. This becomes the conversation, right? This becomes what people are speaking about, and it's kind of a shame, right? Because I feel like if they at least shared a little bit and like put out some pre-production like demos of things, people would be excited and talking about it in a very different way, as opposed to, when are we getting something new? Why don't they care? Wait, is that an Apple Studio? Is that the Mac Studio?
Yes, it is. It's a studio display.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
the computer. That's awesome. How are you finding it?
It is wickedly, insanely fast. So I'm coming from PC. So whenever I got the Z9, I've been wanting to get into Apple for a while, but once I got the Z9, my old computer could not even process the video. It just couldn't do it. And so I had to I had to upgrade at that point to be able to keep up with YouTube. And so it was taking me about 45 to 50 minutes to export a 4 gigabyte video on my PC. And now with the Studio M1 Max, I can export like 13 gigabytes in like 6.5 minutes.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm on a Mini too, and I like same thing. Like I'm just on the M1 chip, but like I can put out a video, so like it renders so much faster. What are you using for editing? Are you using Final Cut or
Premiere Pro?
Premiere Pro, nice.
Yeah. How's the audio sound tonight, Chuck?
Sounds good, man.
Good.
Yeah, it sounds good. I enjoyed your video earlier. It kind of dovetailed right into this. As I watched it, I thought, man, this is what we're supposed to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I'm liking the newsflash videos because I can like write in these jokes, right? And so whenever I get an idea for a video, I usually have a bunch of like jokes and a bunch of like humor, and I have it planned. But whenever I'm like freestyling, like I always forget the funny stuff. And I basically get all the main points across, but all of the stuff that would like make it uniquely Zach kind of like disappears. But whenever I do the news flash, I use the teleprompter. And so I can structure those jokes in there, and I throw in little reminders like, okay, I need to do a screen, or I need to do a scene cut right now to do this thing. And then I go back into the actual news stuff. I have little commands that say like, stop here and do this, next thing. So I'm able to.
Yeah, for all those that may be new here, go over and check out, if you haven't already checked out Z Wade Photo, check it out, because his news flash, especially the one he did tonight, I thought was fantastic. I mean, the humor in it is just fantastic.
I appreciate that, Chuck.
The acting was great. I mean, all your cues on really, guys, and no information. I'm not going to give everything away, but it was great. You did a great job on it.
Yeah, I liked how that one turned out really, really short. Like I think it's less than 5 minutes, but it's a good 5-minute watch, I think. That's why I like doing I like doing those news flashes. They're a little harder to do because like I can't dictate what's in the industry, and so like I can only do what's in the works. And like I said, there's like nothing going on from Sony. And so I had to find a way to not make the video 2.5 minutes long. But hey Jeffrey, man, it was nice. I didn't get to talk to you, but it's good seeing you back in the chat, my dude.
It's great, Jeffrey. Anytime you want to join us, man, you're welcome back here. All you got to do is let me know, and I'll send you the link, brother. But it's good to see you in here tonight, and I'm sure everybody else enjoyed seeing you as well. All right. QQQ. It makes me feel special.
Do you think Nikon needs something similar to the Fuji X Summit to help with their brand message? I don't think Nikon knows what their brand message is. If I'm
Wait,
being
who are we
totally
talking about?
honest.
Wait, who?
Yeah. And you know, and I understand I'm going to take flack for, you know, carrying on the Nikon has no marketing department, but you know, I'm going to stick with it until I see something that leads me to believe that, wow, they got an idea now.
Yeah.
You know,
Honestly,
Vaughan brought up the other day, get Mr. Beast to go hand out, you know, 100 Z30s. You won't be able.
Right.
They won't be able to make Z30s if they shut down every plant and just make Z30s. If Mr. Beast goes and does that, but that's the kind of thinking that should be going on in their marketing department. It sounds ridiculous, but there's so much free advertising that they could get that they just don't do.
Actually,
And-
they wouldn't even have to work that hard on that, Chuck, because Mr. Beast is so good at YouTube and literally nobody understands I don't think YouTube knows the algorithm as well as Mr. Beast does. All they have to do is call him and say, "Hey, look, we've got these cameras that we kind of tried to market towards like YouTubers and streamers and stuff like that. We'd like to give you X amount of them." Mr. Beast is going to find the absolute best way to make video content out of that. That is what he does. That's what he's good at. So just offer him the little partnership and he'll do everything else for you. He's not going to make a video that fails.
Yeah, if you can just get it in his hands and he says, "Yeah, I'll do it," then you're right. You're right. It just him with the camera in his hand, as Vaughan said. All he has to do is stand there and hold the camera. He doesn't even have to give one away. And everybody out there, well, I got to have what Mr. Beast is using, or has, or whatever. I mean, it's just.
Chuck,
go
did
ahead,
you see
Joe.
that Shopify? Oh, sorry, I was going to say, did you see that Shopify video he did in Antarctica? So it's crazy. He got Dan Mace. He got Dan Mace to be his videographer for that. He's now helping with the whole philanthropy wing of Mr. Beast. But basically, he took all these bros to Antarctica for 48 hours, and they had to survive 48 hours in Antarctica with no plane, nothing. And they literally hiked to the top of this mountain. He pulls out this flag and says, "This is now Shopify Mountain." And that was the marketing plug to Shopify. Like, no one needed that, but like it's awesome, right? And like, you know, I work with an energy company here in Alberta, and that's the same thing we're doing. I'm like, man, like we need to make interesting content that people are going to enjoy.
No, you're absolutely right. He may know nothing about a camera, but Nikon should invite him to one of their marketing brain, sessions. Okay, well, maybe not. I don't know.
He's the new head of Nikon marketing. There we go.
We don't know.
He'll put a whole bunch of Z30s on a giant balloon and he'll send it over China.
I just want to say I'm not even that great at video. Like, I mean, I can do what I do for YouTube and then some. You know, I could probably do like some video stuff for like a product, for like a gig or whatever. But I just want to say that I could do a better job than Nikon did with the rollout of that 85. That was the most whack thing I've ever seen in my life from a professional company. It was so weak. So weak.
I love this question about Robert Varner. What happened to the Nikon ambassadors? Can anybody name the Nikon ambassadors?
Hey, no, hang on, because Nikon did a great job of covering the back of one of their ambassadors' head with no speech at all, and their 85 millimeter rollout. I mean, it was right at the back of her head. It was fantastic. You didn't see
11 aperture blades around the blur. It's round, so it's okay. By the way,
I have also determined, because I've been playing with overlays and textures in Photoshop for about 6 months. And one of those pictures, it's not, sorry guys, I don't want to say this because like I've already ordered the lens, but the bokeh in one of those videos is fake because they forgot to remove one of the texture overlay bokeh balls from the face. And it just dawned on me today because I was adding bokeh in the back of a picture. Like I was doing a fake background and I was like, oh my gosh, wait a second. Because there was a bokeh ball like right on my model's face. Right, because it's just an overlay. And I went back and I looked at that. I was like, "Oh my god, Nikon just did a overlay on an advertisement for a lens, and they let that slide. It's on B&H Photo right now. You can go look at it."
I'll have to
We had
check
make
it out,
around
man.
somehow.
J-Rod Photo Art, Mr. James. Jim's in the house. Jim, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
J-Rod.
I know everybody's getting ready for the Super Bowl tomorrow. Not I.
Yeah, me
I'm-
neither.
I'm Canadian, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
And that may be a reason a lot of people didn't want to be on the stream tonight, but that's okay. That's fine.
I don't
Life
like
comes
sports
first.
ball.
Football bats and the like, basketball gloves, and yeah, I'm a motorsports person, if anything. Jim says, "Oh well, just finished the movie." So, Mr. Z Wade Photo, Joe Dixon asks,
How did he says Z-Wade, how do you get past the awkward start of bodyscape / mud photography? I don't know if that's a typo, but if it's not, that is a great sensor, because you would probably get some of those links to the inappropriate websites come in here. So
Yeah.
I like that, but I know what you're talking about. So basically, the awkwardness took me about 6 photo shoots to where I felt confident giving the models instructions in Bodyscape, because Bodyscape is awkward. Even the most experienced model that's never Bodyscape before isn't going to be able to find the light, and so you have to give them verbal commands on what to do. And the first 6 were really awkward, because I didn't know how to. I mean, you basically give them verbal commands the exact same way, but it's different because it's a Bodyscape. So it just takes some time, but I would recommend you not do Bodyscape at all unless you know 100% that you can be professional about it. It's a lot harder for male photographers. I hear female photographers say inappropriate things during those kinds of shoots all the time, and it's totally fine. If I did it once, my career is over, right? So before you do it, to ease some of that awkwardness, think about the kind of things that you want to say, right? Don't refer to things as slang. Don't use slang terms for body parts. Use medical terms. And also, you should expect, if you've never done that kind of photography before, you should pay the models. Because if you're learning that craft,
these are the do's and don'ts. But how do you get over the awkwardness? I think it's that there's the start of this question.
Sorry, to get over the awkwardness. Actually, I guess that kind of plays in. So paying your models until you've mastered it, that helped me feel more comfortable because I explained to them that I was new. And so it was a little less awkward, but the awkwardness doesn't totally fade until you have experience. Until you know when you take a shoot, your images are going to look good. I didn't know if mine were going to look good for about 6 shoots, and they didn't look good for about 5. So, yeah, just confidence, professionalism. If you know you're going to go in professional, then it's going to be a lot less weird. And you should probably try to work with people that you're comfortable with, that you know, first before you start working with strangers.
Z-Wade's been practicing on me for the last 5 years. It's been great.
That's right.
Yes.
Hey, Nancy. Yeah, I saw that on Nikon Rumors. They expect no more announcements. I don't know. I didn't dig through the entire article and look at all the comments or try to figure out where that information's coming from other than from Nikon Rumors. But still, it doesn't bode well. And it definitely isn't going to help Nikon from my point of view on the stream here for the next month or 2 or whatever. If that's the case, so we don't hear anything, we're owed. I know people say, how dare you say you're owed? Well, I don't care. I'm saying it. We, the customer, are owed something for being with them so long and waiting so long. If it's nothing more than a development announcement, I don't care.
This was a press release.
Yeah. Give us something, please. So I don't know, Nancy. I don't know what's going to happen now. But next week should be the week that we hear something. According to Tom, if you go to his website by Tom Hogan, he kind of talks about that. So next week, if we don't hear any rumor or anything, then who knows what's going to happen at CP Plus. However, I think that it might be true, because I think Nikon maybe is trying to put together a big event for this next reveal, next camera body, because the Z9 was the big flagship model. And I think the next camera coming out is going to carry over so much of that tech that they would rather do a big announcement, meaning invitations go out for people to come for the announcement. I mean, Canon just did that with the R8 and the R50. So I would expect that maybe that's going to happen, rather than just doing it at a convention where you don't have all the attention. And maybe that's their plan. That's their marketing. That's their marketing idea there. We're not going to share any attention with anybody. It's going to be all hours. We're going to do it the bleakest moment, 2:00 in the morning on a Sunday. So nobody
Chuck,
else can hoard in on our time, our space.
Chuck, the way you asked for a new camera, you sound like the pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean. The Nikons, they call to us.
And Nikon, if you are listening, please call me. The number's been on the screen. Give me a call. Send me an email. I would love to talk to you. I really would.
Hey, Chuck, if they
As
call
an
your
adult,
show,
as an adult, go ahead.
if they call your show, well, first of all, Wayne Maddox, hello, welcome to the stream. But if Nikon calls you, I'm pretty sure they're going to be wasted, because that's my explanation for every goofy thing that happens. It's like they're getting together and they're drinking too much sake, and then they're trying to solve problems.
They keep holding their media release events at the Santori factory, and they're like, man, nothing ever gets out. I don't know what this is.
Hey, Chuck, we don't appreciate the trash talking.
Yeah.
You get your cameras when we're done and ready.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is their philosophy. You get it when I say you get it, and you'll be happy with that.
And it'll be like just coattailing some other camera, and then there'll be a whole new swath of new cameras that replace it.
So here's an answer to my question. Can you name the ambassadors? I can't. I can name a few of them, but when's the last time you saw them? Some are so prolific, well, at least one, that you can't forget him, Joe McNally, of course.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, so they need to put some of them out to pasture. You know what? You ain't done anything for us for a while, so goodbye.
I can't believe it's not in their contract to have some kind of like YouTube channel,
There you go. Now marketing ideas again. Marketing ideas.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad. So hopefully that'll change maybe somewhere down the road. I mean, come on. When you've got ambassadors that come out on stage with a walker, I mean, it. And I'm not bashing any of the folks, but I'm saying it could get that bad.
Nikon is doing more advertising for Hover Round than Nikon.
Behold, the Nikon claw grabber. You can't reach that lens at the top shelf. We've got you covered. Chuck, when I lived in South Korea, I used to play a lot of gigs all over the place, and there was expat bands that existed, and there was this one band that was called the Kimchi Cowboys, and every single member was over the age of 70, and the guitarist literally had an oxygen tank. He's a Nikon brand ambassador. He's going to be killing it.
Oh man,
that's why they're putting such an emphasis on their medical glass areas. Is because all their users and their brand ambassadors are over the age of 80.
So please, if you're not a Nikon shooter, please spread the word that we're not opposed to raking our own brand over the coals.
Yeah,
I don't mean we do it maliciously. We do it because they need to hear this kind of stuff,
and they're not.
I just want to say, like, being a musician myself and having been in a bunch of bands, the Kimchi Cowboys is truly an outstanding name for a band.
See, Wade, if you like that one, you'll like what I did to my dad years ago. I had this band in university, and we sucked, like, really bad. But this bar downtown gave us this awkward, like, 1 p.m. time slot to play. They were like, come on down. Singer was sick. Drummer like broke his arm. No one could make it. So my dad's like, I'll fill in. I'll be a drummer. So we get there, and the lady says, well, I can't introduce your band. Like, this is just you and your dad. Like, it's just you guys. And he was complaining about his hip. So our band name was the Artificial Hipsters.
That's a good one.
Oh, man. Help me out, Roy. What am I missing here? YouTube's P-Zone is teasing us about the Z8.
I don't know what the P-Zone... The P-Zone used to be a calzone from Pizza Hut. That's what I recognize.
Yeah, I think P-Zone means like piss zone, maybe. Something like that. I don't know.
Hey, James, you know us better than that, man. We don't shoot with cameras. We just complain about not having cameras yet.
Yeah.
Actually, I did not get to go out and shoot today because last Sunday I did 2 photo shoots back to back. A Sunday street photography walk and then a portrait with there was 5 different models. And so I literally just finished those images to give back to the people that were there that want to see them. I've been too busy. I'm going to go out tomorrow though. I'm thinking some macro photography tomorrow.
There you go.
Actually, here's a good question for you guys. What third-party F-mount lens that does macro should I get for my Z6 for the FTZ?
The Canon.
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Third party for your Z6?
Yeah.
Are you going to be manual focusing?
No, I'm on some auto because I've got a bad eye and it's always blurry. At least I can blame the camera.
It's pretty much going to have to be the G series, I think.
It's 2023, folks. We have this miracle called autofocus.
Yes.
Why would we consider? I'm going to go get a horse and wagon team tomorrow just because it's nostalgic and I get the real feel of the road riding around in that wagon. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, actually, maybe I should get the future of Nikon brand releases. Hold on. I do have a new camera that I think Nikon could learn a thing or two from. I got this from the camera store for free the other day. This is going to be the next camera body they drop.
Okay. That looks like something that actually Jeffrey would be interested in. He likes
this is just another ZFC.
A CFC.
It's all connected.
Oh, wow. Wayne was out for a morning of dolphin watching in the Philippines. Man, that sounds nice.
Oh.
It sounds real nice. You know why it sounds nice to me? Because it sounds warm. How about you, Joe?
What I do this morning? I walked outside in the cold. That's all I did. It's like it was 6 degrees and everyone was wearing shorts. It was a really nice day.
Oh man.
I'm still sorry. I'm still lost in thought on your question, Joe. Honestly, man, I don't know what your budget is, but I would suggest you just save your money for the Nikon Z, honestly.
Well, it's just because everything I have in my ecosystem right now is adapted, right? So that's why once I get if Nikon decided tomorrow we're gonna send Joey a newer Z mount camera, then I would sell all that and then I would put the money into some Z mount glass. But I was kind of just leaning towards the Tamron 90-8 just because you can get them for $150, $200, and they're like.
Is that a internal autofocus or is it screw drive?
It's internal.
Okay.
I just had to put this up here again. I'm curious as to what it does. I really am.
Unfortunately, that QR code needs to be scanned by somebody's phone camera, and most people are probably watching this on their phones, and so I don't know. Unless you have a second phone.
Could be, but someone scanned it. Someone's scanning it now.
You're making it rain, people. You're giving them coffee.
Tell me what happens. Tell me.
Your bank account gets inflated. That's what happens.
I think it's interesting. I don't know what it is. They threw it in
let me click on this.
They gave it to me right before the stream started.
The Prince of
Oh,
Nigeria
dude.
needs your help.
Dude, that's so lame. It says support this stream, buy me a coffee. But whenever I scanned it, it's a referral program. Share Restream with your friends, get free upgrades to paid plans, and earn
There
cash.
you go.
Invite
All
friends
right.
now.
All right. Now I know. No need to scan it anymore. You know, we were talking about this recently, and I wanted to do that. Get a QR code, an M&M QR code. So, all right. Glad to know that. Thank you very much, folks.
I actually, I have 2 different business cards. One of them's a YouTube card, and it's got like a YouTube icon on it, and it's basically black, white, and red, and everything like that. And on the back of it is a QR code, and I give those out to people at like the drive-through and coffee shop all the time. I just like give it to them, and they scan it, and sometimes I take it back, sometimes I leave it on the counter.
It's like we do have like one business card, and you're like, here you go. They're like, oh, could I? No, that's my business card. This one. Sort of like you've got the one resume you hand over. You're like, oh, you're not going to hire me? Give it back. Give it back.
Well, I'm just glad that didn't
That's the only
cost
copy I
anybody
have.
any money. So that makes me happy. But I'm curious to see what Restream's going to say when I close the stream down. You got 4 QR code scans. You won a present.
You win another ZFC. You're now a Nikon brand ambassador.
You get 2%
Unfortunately,
off your next.
Unfortunately, Chuck is in cahoots with China, and your bank accounts are all now compromised.
Yeah,
the Prince of Nigeria needs your help.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Nigerian Prince needs your help.
I got to drop y'all. I'm going to go have some dinner, but good talking to you guys. Chuck, thanks for having me. Z-Way, great recent video on the news blip. That was awesome. So thanks for having me, folks.
Yep, take care.
All right, hey Joey, thanks, man. Thanks for dropping in. And again, you know, you're living proof that anybody can be on this channel and put up with me. There's Joey from Joe Man's Land.
Well, Chuck, stop telling them about our couples counseling. That's between you and me. Come on, airing our dirty laundry. You're the one that said once it's on the air, it's saved forever. And you can't delete it.
You're right. I can't get rid of it. You're right. All right, brother. Go have a good time, man. Love watching your channel. Everybody go check out Joe Man's Land, his channel. Joey is always out in the cold. He's doing it for you all. So he can demonstrate Nikon's great capability and how quick they are to develop and produce new products. All right.
Exactly. Homeless people in the cold.
All right, Joey. All right,
bye,
buddy.
Guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
All right.
By the way, Nick, I'm probably going to butcher your name. Kakaria? It's a funny comment. He says, I think someone misspelled poverty as photography.
Oh, man. You know what?
Also, Neth BT. The Z5 doesn't get much love on this channel because there aren't a lot of people that use Z5s in here. But if you want some Z5 content, I do have some at my channel. But in here, there is a lot of talk about other great cameras. I don't know if is Neth new in here or is he?
No, not at all. Not at all. But you know what? Again, I give you the opportunity, and I've asked Canon guys, Sony guys, if you want to come on the show, by all means do, because learn me, help me understand, all the models and things like that of Canon and Sony and everything else. You're welcome to come on the show and do that. We're not here to bash any other brand other than our favorite brand. And we're only bashing them because they're so slow rolling and getting us things, or even when they announce it, they can't produce it. We can't get it. So maybe some of these things. But anyway, if you're a Canon shooter, Sony shooter, you're more than welcome to come in and be on the panel as well. So even Neth, if you want to come and help us understand more about the Z5, by all means, man, if you have the ability to come on the show, do so. Or if you want to call in, absolutely call in and again, help us all to understand. So, I mean,
tell us what you like about it.
Channel. Yeah. Yeah.
I got mine sitting over there. It still goes out with me every time I go out anywhere.
And Wayne says, while I'm currently using Sony cameras, Nikon has been the brand that I've used for 20 years. Sony has come good tech, but I would love those in a Nikon body. Yeah, and you know what, Wayne, a lot of people, when I make that statement, and again, I'm not sharing all the emails and things that I get, but I get emails from people that talk about, and I'm sure they don't want me throwing that all over YouTube or whatever. Hey, man, I'm telling you, don't go tell everybody else. But they tell me things like that. Like if Nikon doesn't do something within this period of time, I'm ready to move on, and I'm going to go on to, I'm going to look at Sony, and they'll even tell me what model they're looking at. So you understand which model they're expecting from Nikon. Because Nikon doesn't have it yet. And, the Nikon fanboys, and there are lots of them, will not address this. They're afraid to say anything. Well, I'm not. But anyway, back to, if you're a Fuji shooter and you want to come on the channel and talk about Fuji with us too, by all means do. Everybody in the comment section, you'll get a response to your question or your comment, just throw it out there. And it may not be necessarily from anybody that's on the panel, myself included. There's so much experience out there in the chat. You can't imagine. So by all means, throw it out there. We'll talk about it or try to answer it or give you a moment to talk about what you want to talk about.
Hey, Joe Dixon. I want to challenge you real quick. Because you said you're still shooting the D850, which is a great camera, until Nikon can offer a solid Z. I challenge you to tell me in what ways the Z7 II is not as good as the D850. I'm just curious. Because I disagree with a lot of people that say, oh, the Z7 II is, oh, it was supposed to be the D850, but it's not. I think it's better in every way. I would like to know your thoughts on that. Oh, an affordable solid Z. What did the D850 launch at, Chuck?
D850? I think it was about, what was it, 3,600?
So about the same as the Z7?
Oh yeah.
The Z7 too? Okay,
yeah.
So we're almost comparing apples to apples on price. So on wildlife. See, I don't shoot wildlife, so I don't know what the autofocus was like on the D850 for wildlife versus the Z7 II.
Oh, here's the only way. If somebody were to tell me I don't like the EVF, I like an OVF, and that's the reason I think that the Z7 II or Z7 II was not the D850 reincarnate and mirrorless. I understand that. But most of those people haven't experienced the EVF on the Z9. And I'm not bragging about, well, Nikon's got the best EVF out there. I mean, I hear the same thing from the A1 shooters and others, but I don't miss the OVF. I got to tell you, I don't miss it. And I like some of the things you get with the EVF, like what you see is what you get, or brighter EVF in dark lit rooms. I mean, there's just, and if all the cameras underneath the Z9 adopt that, I think that it surpasses the D850. I had a D850. I sold it to somebody that was in the chat. He's probably still in here, Ted, ATR Bear, but he has a mirrorless camera as well. And there's nothing wrong with people that just have a nostalgic connection with a camera. And I wish I'd have kept my D5. I sold it getting ready for the Z9. I wish I'd kept it because I love that camera. But I won't tell you that it's better than the Z9 or, it's not equivalent to the Z9. Anyway, yeah, I heard all that early on talking about the D850. The Z7 wasn't the D. I don't know what it's missing. And I think that's where you were going a minute ago, Zach.
Yeah.
What is missing from the Z9 that makes you feel like it's not the replacement for the D850? And there may be a good reason.
It's interesting that wildlife came up because I didn't really consider the D850 to be like the ideal wildlife camera, right? I would have thought that you would probably been better off maybe with the 500 or something, or if you could afford it, like the pro bodies. I see the Nikon D850 used almost everywhere else more often than wildlife. And in that case, the Z7 II is actually better than the D850. Now, wildlife, like I said, that's unique. I don't know any D850 wildlife people personally. I know they're out there. I'm just saying most D850 people were using it for like weddings and things like that. And, you know, I think the 7.2 is better in every way in that regard. So,
yeah, and I'm not pushing mirrorless over anything. I'm confused with that too. And again, like I said, I had a D850, and when the Z7 and Z7 II came out, I tried to figure out what everybody was so upset about. I think, you know what, and I think, and this contradicts a lot of the complaints that go on YouTube about mirrorless cameras. And if it's too heavy, we don't like it. You know, I can't carry a full DSLR anymore. I got to have something that's incredibly lighter. Okay, it's okay to want something lighter, but is this contradiction to the smaller and lighter that I love how people say was promised? I never heard any manufacturer say, we promise you it's going to be lighter and smaller. I never heard that in any advertisement, but that's what people expected with mirrorless. And is it that you don't get that same solid constructive feel or construction feel in the Z7 or Z7 II that you did in a D850? And I understand that too. But then again, please don't be one of those people that say it's too heavy, it's too big.
I never understood the weight argument either, because I mean, the camera, yes, once you put a lens on it, I think the big weight savings are coming in the telephotos. Like the telephotos are impressively, like the 600 and the 400, they are impressively light compared to their predecessors. Like the 400 4.5, you don't have to carry it by the lens, you can carry it by the camera. But as far as like the other stuff, like the primes and the zooms and stuff like that, I don't see much of a difference in the weight compared to what I used to carry. So I never understood that argument anyway. More compact, sure, the camera bodies are more compact, but they still feel like heavy to me, which I like. I want that. I like the balance, but I don't know. I found that to be a weird argument.
Hey, Sanjit Paul, man, I know you've been in here for probably 15 minutes. I just got to your comment there. Good to hear from you. Zahir, if you're still in here, here's Mr. Sanjit Paul. So you're back in Malaysia, Sanjit? At Starbucks, where the Wi-Fi isn't very good. I just wondered if you're back home. And Neff, there you go. English is my third language. I'm not that proficient vocally. Okay, I understand. I understand. I got you, Neff. No problem. Third language. I'm still working on my first language, brother. So you're doing far better than I am. So yeah, but I understand you might not be comfortable on here speaking. But I got to tell you, I don't care. It wouldn't bother me. And if it did bother anybody, I don't care, because why can't you speak if you want to? So anyway, the invitation is there, Neth. Anytime you want to be on, brother, you can be. I appreciate you letting us know. I'm going to drop down here trying to get all right.
Nancy
here
P,
I go.
I agree with you. I think people would be dissatisfied if they focused too much on savings. Something has to give, and it's going to be thinner wall of the body, and it's something has got to give. So I agree with you. Sorry, Chuck, go ahead and do what you got to do.
No, I was just there's Zahar. He's down here. I just wanted, meet Sanjit. I mean, we have a very international audience building in our community, and I love that. The other night, it was all international. We had, what did we have in here? Man, I can't even remember. Of course, Roy from Australia. Who was from Malaysia? Was it? I think it was John Ishii that was in here with us, and somebody else. Oh, and Andre from Malta. I mean, come on, It doesn't get any more international. So I love that. I really do. And again, you're all welcome. You're all welcome to be on the program, and you're welcome to get in. Here's the key. Here's what you guys should try to do. Keep my mouth shut, meaning you all have the conversation going. and let me stay out of it, because all I'm going to do is rant anyway. And then I'm going to run off people that otherwise would have enjoyed the show. I did have a suggestion again, and I'm going to do it, guys, here real soon. And I'm going to download the audio for these live streams. And I don't know, I'm not going to go the podcast route or Apple or whatever it is. I'm going to see about downloading them on. Well, I don't know if you can do that. I don't know. I'm going to figure out how to download them and provide them for those that want to just listen to the streams, because a lot of people do that. They're working. They like listening to it in the background. And I can understand that, because Lord knows I'm not much to look at, but there really isn't anything visual on the show. It's all conversation, which is why I try to get your comments up on the screen and read them, so that everybody that may be just listening understands what's going on. All right. Tell me to be quiet.
I'll just let you go, Chuck. I mean, it's your show. We do have an interesting conversation developing that I would like to get in on. Wayne says that Nikon needs some lighter lenses, and he would like some video specific lenses like Sony is doing. I don't know. I feel like Nikon's like the 50 f1.2, even though it's on the slower side of focusing compared to other lenses in the lineup, it does have a nice, smooth cinematic focus, and the speed is kind of what you kind of expect to see, like as it autofocuses, right? It looks like a slow manual focus. Lighter, I think there's a lot of lighter options, but I mean, does lighter and cinema lens go hand in hand, Chuck? I don't know that they do.
Not for true cine lenses, no. As a matter of fact, a real cine set, and we've got, I think we got Albert still in here, Mr. Albert's in here, and Roy's in here. A true cine set, isn't it true that they all weigh the same? They're all the same barrel size and everything. And the reason for that, because as they're switching from one lens to another, they don't want to have to recalibrate
gimbals and things like that.
Yeah. So everything works the same. So I don't know. I mean, whatever the lightest lens in the set, that would be the weight for the set. I mean, for each lens, I don't know that I don't think that any of them are really light, because you're talking true cinema lenses are, quality glass, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We could check out something, you can go check out the Rokinon cine lenses that are on B&H, and
I
of course they're not shooting Netflix shows with those lenses, or the next major motion picture.
So everyone is talking about how they would like lighter lenses to go hiking with. So what focal length do you want to take hiking? Because that will tell me whether or not, because I'm just trying to figure out where everyone's head is, because I like heavier lenses because I feel more confident with them. And if you're going to go hiking and you're taking a 600, how much lighter does it need to be than the new one? Also, do you have $15,000? Because I don't have $15,000 for that lens, but the 400-4.5 does not weigh that much. If you want a 400 for like some hiking and wildlife, it's like, what more do you want? That's what I'm trying to figure out. This is good. This is good content research for my channel.
Anyone else alarmed at the size of the 1.2 primes from all brands? The promise of more compact kit from mirrorless turned out not to be true. Thanks. Great show. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. Appreciate the comment too, because I was just talking about that. I don't remember anybody promising anything with mirrorless, meaning it's going to be smaller and lighter. I think
that's a YouTube thing. YouTuber said that.
Yep. I think that, as we looked at what Nike or what they were bringing out, we based all that on what Sony was doing. Sony had because nobody knew what Canon and Nikon were going to do as far as mirrorless cameras. So I think that everybody assumed that Nikon and Canon would follow suit with a small body, lighter lenses. But as it turns out, I think a lot of people don't want to give up certain quality in some lenses, just to make it fit in your shirt pocket. And I think Nikon, I think Canon, I think Nikon, and a lot of third-party manufacturers are helping with that for those that really want smaller, lighter lenses. But I would not want Nikon, and I'm sure Canon folks and Sony folks and everybody else feel the same way. I would not want them to disregard quality, throw quality out the window, and some of the things you can't get out of a small, light lens, maybe.
Hey,
I want those heavier lenses. Go ahead.
Real quick, Chuck. Flintlock. Let's not do that, man. There's a lot of reasons that people may want something lighter. Let's not go that direction. Me, for example, I've always been a 2-camera guy. I like to have a prime and a zoom. I can't do that as well as I used to because I've had 1 back surgery, even at 32 years old. And so carrying a backpack full of gear and dual wielding 2 cameras, I'm pretty tore up at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I will always make concessions for those that have a reason, a real reason. But I'm sorry, I just don't understand. It's like everybody has gone to, I just want a little tiny camera, a little tiny lens that has the same quality as a prime, like a 50-1.2 or a 85-1.2 or a 400 millimeter prime, 2.8. Physics limit what you can do until we get the AI tuned in, which we're trying to do, I guess. Until we get that AI tuned in, physics are going to limit what we do. When AI can take over and take a subpar lens and do all the magic work in camera, this is what we've got. If you want quality, and quality isn't always larger and heavier. Don't get me wrong here. Okay. There are smaller and compact lenses that have a character that no other lens has or can be as sharp. So I don't know what to tell everybody other than, buck up a little bit and, carry your camera. We didn't hear these problems though. It's kind of like gluten. This is the new, this is the photography world of gluten. Gluten never bothered anybody until one day, all of a sudden, everybody's gluten intolerant, and we got to have gluten-free this and gluten-free that. Here we are, we get mirrorless cameras, and overnight, nobody can carry a camera. Everybody talks about, I come home from a shoot and, I can't walk the next day. And maybe that's just them, but so many people jumped on that bandwagon. And I got to tell you, I grew up in the age, and doesn't mean this is what everybody needs to do. It would be like trying to sell you photography or film days again. But I grew up in an age where you pick something up and it was quality in your hands. You could feel it. Yeah. And some of the cameras today, even my Z6 II, it doesn't feel anything like my D500, D850, D800, D810, D5, whatever. It doesn't feel like quality, even though it is. And I think a lot of us, and maybe it's just the old timers, a lot of us pick up a camera and we want to feel the camera. We want to know that we're holding something that's, well built and everything else. But I can't everybody. Go ahead, Zach.
Now, Flintlock also said, it just scrolled up on me. He said if people, I can't find it because it keeps jumping, but he said if people want to shoot here it is. If people want to shoot wildlife, guess what? The lenses are heavy. And see, now I'm feeling you on that one, Flintlock. And see, that's the point I was making earlier. It's like with the new Z lenses, they are lighter. The telephotos are lighter than their predecessors. And so that's where I'm trying to figure out like where people want to go from there, because at some point, one of two things has to happen. The material has to get thinner and cheaper, which is going to make it not last as long to save on weight, or they're going to have to make some kind of leap in optics to make them shorter, and they're going to get more expensive. And so, you have to.
And we need better battery technology. We've been waiting for that for 50 years in the technology sector. I don't know how many of you remember, but there was talk, I don't know what it was, 30 years ago or more, about cold fusion. If anybody remembers that talk, anybody that came up with cold fusion that would power, we could power anything with nano size batteries. But right now, your battery is one of the heavier pieces to your camera.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking about like the flagships that have the large batteries like the Z9, the EL18. But anyway, there are a lot of limitations. A lot of things are going to limit the ability to make it even smaller and even lighter. And Jeff, I hope you caught that. I did say I understand that there are people that have a legitimate reason for wanting smaller and lighter. I get that. But I go back to everybody jumped on that bandwagon. Again, gluten, all of a sudden everybody's allergic to gluten. And if you're allergic to gluten or whatever, you have gluten, I'm sorry to hear that, but I just, it just happened overnight. It wasn't like over years we developed this and realized, okay, some more people are fine. No, it's just overnight. And overnight, everybody wanted, because they could no longer carry a camera and a lens. I am not talking about those that have any physical limitation or reason for, not or to not want to carry a heavy lens or a heavy camera. But I'm not buying that everybody overnight in the camera world all of a sudden could no longer carry what we've been carrying for years. It just didn't make sense to me. All right, I'll get off that bandwagon.
Jeff and Leslie, we should get off a weight, but I want to respond to this one real quick. It said there are modern materials that are quite durable and lighter than metal. The firearms industry is light years ahead of the camera industry in this work. I get it. I work with some pretty exotic materials in my line of work, but if that's the direction that it goes, we're going to be having a conversation similar to this about price, because the first camera manufacturer that starts using these really awesome heavy duty materials instead of like a hard plastic or metal, they're going to charge a premium for it because it's going to be super durable and super light. And so we're going to stop talking about the weight issue and start talking about how outrageous that lens is priced at, So nobody's ever going to be happy.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm not. That. Anybody who tunes into the show until Nikon changes their marketing plan, and I'll get off that now. Anyway, Kevin.
Next subject.
Kevin brings up 900 f2, 3 pounds, $3,500. We'd all have it. You betcha we would. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Because if it comes at a cost and quality, it's not a great deal. I mean, you look at where we're at. The 800 PF, great lens, fantastic lens, and the 400 PF, 400 4.5, great lens, but it's nowhere near the quality of the 400 2.8. So the point is that lightweight, cheaper price does not always equate to the best quality. But as Photo Me Ike would say, if it works for you, then that's it. It's fine. If you like it, then that's fine. If you don't care about the difference between the 400 2.8 TC and the 400 4.5 PF, if you don't care about the difference, then the 400 4.5 is your lens, and it's lighter, smaller, and cheaper. So anyway, that's just it. We're always going to be left with a decision to make. And sometimes our wallet makes that decision for us. It does for me a lot.
So Chuck, are you actually getting the 85-1.2, or are you like, no, like at that price, or you're like,
no, look, I'd like to say, and I did have some reservations. I still don't know where it was. Maybe it was just sticker shock at first, but I know if I say I might not, I'm just lying. I know I'm going to get it.
But you haven't pre-ordered it or anything.
Well, I haven't pre-ordered it because the store that I use, they just let me, they started a waiting list. As soon as it was announced, they let me start or get on a waiting list. So, or they started a waiting list for it. So yeah, I'm going to buy it. I wanted that 51.2 so bad, but I don't want 50 millimeter focal length. Mm-hmm. And, I've talked about that many times. I want 85, and that's the reason I was waiting for the 85 1.2. And I hope I'm not disappointed. I don't think I will be.
I think it's going to be great. I can see a pretty decent contrast difference.
Could you try again?
No, go away. Why?
Okay.
Siri, man, I shouldn't have said that. She'll be back. I don't know what I said to prompt her. All right. Let me see what we got here. Let me see. PF lenses are the biggest breakthrough in years. Yep. Agree with that 100%, Roy. Yeah. Done a fine job with PF lenses. Wayne says, I have 2 Sony bodies and 4 lenses, and that kit suits me better now. Great, man. There you go. And that's it. So rather than, us and every other channel on YouTube arguing over who's the best, why can't we just say, you happy with what you got? All right, man. Applause. Great. Because that's all that really matters. You're happy with what you're shooting. I think it's great. I don't care what you shoot if you're happy with what you're shooting. Craig says, with all this talk about the Z8, he still just wants the Z9. Oh man, well, wait till you see what the Z8 is. It may be close. I don't know. Who knows? I know a lot of people don't want that, but we'll see. Roy says he's only allergic to stupid people. Me too, Roy. But so why do I sneeze all the time when I'm alone? Nancy, I don't even know what a gluten is. Me either, Nancy. I have no idea. My wife tried to explain it to me, and I decided I really don't want to know if it's that strange or whatever. All right, let me keep going here. Come on. Trying to get down here. Let's see.
Sorry, I got a canine training center just responded to do some. I reached out and told him that I could do some advertisement shots of his dogs at work.
There you go. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Hey, maybe what I'll do is I'll put on one of those arm things and just hold it out with a Z9 on it for the security dog to just come up.
Have you ever been hit by one of those dogs?
No, but I've seen them take down some pretty large people.
You don't want to do that because they'll bite through a Z9.
Well, no, I'm saying I'll put one of them things that they bite onto and like hold the Z9 as they're running towards it. Like, ah.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Well, no, you don't want to do that either, man. Because they come at you full speed. They do not slow down as they crunch your arm, even with that padding on. I mean, I was amazed. I was actually shocked when I did that.
I've seen them take down some pretty large large folks.
Yeah. A 70 or 80 pound dog coming at you full blast and launching onto you. Catch a 80-pound cannonball in your hand.
Yep.
But yeah, man, that'd be great. That'd be a lot of fun to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So Nancy wants a 400-2.8. I want the new one, Nancy, even though I shouldn't say I'll never get it, but it's most likely that I'll never get that lens. But I would love to have it. I have a 400-2.8. It's a it's not the D2. I can't remember, but it's a D lens, and it is an AFS lens, and it's probably it's probably just about 20 years younger than me. That's about it. And it weighs a ton. I don't even know what it weighs, but fantastic lens, fantastic glass, even as old as it is. Unfortunately, I can't get it to work with my Z6 or Z9. I have a groupie. Uh-oh. All right, guys, let's see. Roy is allergic to me, Tim Hunter. Nick says, I am tempted to get the 400 2.8 with an inheritance, but if it's not producing work to pay for itself, it's not a smart move. Well, no, you're absolutely right, Nick. If that's what you intend to do with it, you're absolutely right. If you don't have the finances, the
Uh-oh. Chuck just turned beet red.
sorry about that.
Dang, Chuck, I didn't know coughing and ranting resulted in the same shade of red on your face.
Oh man, yeah, peanut down the wrong way
Uh-oh.
from the M&Ms.
The
you don't have
M&Ms are retaliating for all of the cousins that you've consumed on these Saturday live
Exactly.
streams.
Yep. Yeah. If you don't have the finances to just buy it without worrying about whether it's going to pay for itself, then that I understand where you're at. I would like to be so wealthy, and I don't mean millionaire-ish, but so wealthy that I could buy these things without worrying about, am I just going to let it sit in the corner and gather dust? Let's see. Moving on down the line here, and I'm going to have to get my good friend Z Wade photo to carry on for a minute because
Sure.
it's well past my go to the little boys' room time. I'm standing here like a child waiting to get in a movie and shaking his leg because he's got to go right to the bathroom. Yeah, peanut allergy. Exactly, Tim.
That's
All
a
right.
weird one because that started with the generation after me, and it just like came out of like nowhere.
Yeah, I think that there may have been a lot of people that did have some of these allergies, but it just got blown out of proportion. I think when a lot of people just assumed they had some of these allergies too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, but man, I know that 40 years ago, it just seemed like things were simpler. Things we didn't have allergies to stuff or whatever, or didn't know. Maybe ignorance was bliss. All right, folks, I got to run the little boys' room, but before I do, I've got to say, please.
Yeah, don't forget.
My wife got me this T-shirt for Christmas, and rather than wear it, I just use it to ask for likes and subscriptions. And I know that there have been a couple of people that have subscribed since the stream started, and I thank you very much for that. One of these days, we're going to get to 1,000, and then after that, I don't know if I'll worry about anybody else subscribing because then we get full use of YouTube. Woohoo!
Yep.
We can use it to our advantage, maybe. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get some merch together just for fun, just some shirts. There have been so many things we've talked about over the last year, almost year and a half, or almost to a year and a half, that have just been hysterical. I mean, I got to get it put on T-shirts for folks. We've learned a lot of things here on this stream, haven't we, Zach?
Yes, sir.
We learned that there's never been a bad photo taken of Bigfoot.
That's right.
Because Bigfoot is inherently a blurry creature.
That's it.
So every photo that's blurry is a sharp photo of Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's right. Every photo of Bigfoot ever taken is actually in focus. It is the nature. It is the nature of the creature itself.
Yes.
Probably a defense mechanism acquired through evolution.
Yep. So, I mean, this is just one of the things we have talked on a photography channel. We have talked about grits extensively.
Yep. We learned that that's everybody's favorite breakfast. Is grits.
So anyway, I'm going to capture some of these things. I've been keeping track of them, and I'm going to put them on a shirt or on shirts and use that to share with everybody. So yes, but if you would, please drop a like. Even if you don't like it, drop a like. I mean, they're free tonight. And if you're not a subscriber, consider becoming a subscriber because you get to join us no matter what. You don't have to be a subscriber to join us, but it motivates me. It keeps me going. So with that said, a She Wade shirt is what they're asking for. That's what Space People wants.
Yes, I didn't have time this year, Space People. because I just launched shirts available on my YouTube channel. But next year I am going to, and every year after this, I'm going to have She Wade Was My Valentine, and then whatever year it was. So it'd be She Wade Was My Valentine 2024 will be the first one.
Oh man, thank you, Wayne. Appreciate the sub, I really do. I appreciate everybody that subs. And all right, let me run to the little boy's room. It's not getting any easier here, sitting here. I will be right back. Yeah, you guys go check out Wayne Maddox's YouTube channel. By the way, I caught him the first time today, and he's a Nikon shooter, so don't give him too much trouble over that. But yeah, Wayne, thanks for joining us tonight, and check out his channel, please, and get over there. I think you'll like his content. Like and subscribe. Like we always say, we're the little channels. We've got to do this because we get stomped on by all the big influencers. But anyway, I will be right back, folks.
Right on. I'll keep it going for you. 1 second, guys. Sorry. So, do you guys have any questions for me in particular? Because I know we get so far behind on the chat that I don't know if I can go through and figure out where Chuck left off. Craig C says 95% of portraits I shoot at, or Roy Bixby says, and 95% of portraits I shoot at f5.6 or smaller. In the studio, Roy, I'm usually at like 6.3 or 7.1. That's in the studio with controlled lighting. Whenever I'm like out in the field, I like f1.2 at a distance to where I can actually get the whole body in focus. But yeah, I'm totally happy with like 2.8 to 5.6 most of the time. But it's only the invention of like modern lenses that I really like f1.8, really like f1.4. Like it wasn't that long ago that wasn't even that good, but yeah, sorry, Flintlock. I was working on a job. Had somebody hit me up. We just rescheduled. I rescheduled conversation for Monday. So it never stops, man. If a potential client hits me up it's 9:56 my time, you got to roll with it. You got a business to run. Roy's mostly an indoor photographer. Joe Dixon says, without a studio, how do you recommend going about bodyscape and mud photo shoots? That's a tough one, man. I mean, you can do on location stuff if you have the reputation built up as like a photographer that can like travel to locate kind of work. Most of the time, if you do things like boudoir, it's generally better to just find a place to rent, whether it's a nice hotel that allows photographers to work within their suites and things like that. If sometimes it's cool, not so much bodyscape, but other types of that kind of work. Doing outdoor stuff can work really good if you have a nice naturey kind of location. But for the most part, I mean, you're not doing bodyscape outside. It won't look like bodyscape. It'll just look like a belly button or a collarbone picture taken in broad daylight. Bodyscape, you really have to have controlled lighting for it to really come off like it should, in my opinion. If you want to reinvent what bodyscape is to you, you could totally do that. But my style is a more traditional style. It's really tough. I have to, Joe. Joe Dixon. It's a tough genre to get into. I spent an absolute fortune paying models, and explaining to them like I'm learning this particular genre, I'm learning this craft, and eventually it just got to the point where people were coming to me for the for the work, and that's whenever I knew, okay, got a concept, Flintlock, I'm jealous, man. I love boxing. Boxing and UFC. I love combat sports. I don't get to watch them that much anymore. But yeah, man, it's tough to get into. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a video sometime on kind of like a step by like where to start, That's tough. Championship fight for a belt. Cool. All right, man. Don't have too much fun over there, Flintlock. Let's see. I don't want to get too far behind here. Nancy's jumping in on the fine art conversation here. She says, personally, she doesn't want to do that style of photography. Some things I don't want to see. And I think that's the difference. I think that that's what makes me so adapted for that style of photography, is just because it doesn't have any effect on me, whether it's a male model, female model, any size, shape, race, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I don't feel the way that like a young adult or a high schooler would feel. It literally has no effect on me, and it's literally no different than like once I got the experience with it. It is weird because when you first start, you're kind of under the pressures of like society, and as we know, it can range from super conservative to super wild and free. And so I totally understand the plight of people that are just like, I'm just not comfortable with it. Like, I totally get that. It took me a few shoots to break the societal kind of thing, but once that happened, it's like the subject itself has never had any effect on me. It's just another subject that is, in my opinion, a lot harder. And that's why I like it so much, but I get it.
I see that we're talking about the need versus want, and Roy's heard me say this a lot of times. I'm not a working photographer. I'm going to steer clear of professional, because I have a different thought about if you're a professional photographer, that means you earn a significant amount of money that goes towards your income through photography, and you could say you're a professional photographer, because not all professionals in any different trade or anything else are actually good. And I've seen that in photography, some that are professional photographers, and I got to say that they may be good, but I don't know that I would equate them with, hey man, this is the cat's meow, this photographer or whatever. But I buy what I want, not what I need. I don't need anything. And I don't feel any shame for saying that I buy some of these lenses or cameras or things that I buy, even though I don't need them. And as of late, I haven't been shooting enough to even show anybody that I am a photographer. I'll admit that too. But we all have things that go on in life, and it kind of prevents us from doing the things we want to do. Go get you some coffee.
Yeah. I gotta go refill. It's your turn.
Yep. So yeah. So yeah, man, I'm all about if you want it and you can afford it, and that's the key. If you can afford it, then get it, because life is full of plenty of tough times and everything else. So at least make yourself happy. And if that means, let me jump into switching brands. A lot of people say you're stupid if you switch brands. Well, from a financial standpoint, I could say you're probably right. But if you can afford to do it and you just want to do it, then by all means do it. And people ask me to include my stepson. Again, he's waiting to see what Nikon's going to do because he wants to buy a camera for his own video work. He's been doing that through me, using my studio, my cameras, but I know he wants to be able to do it himself as well. And he's waiting to see what Nikon is going to do. And Wayne, I saw your comment here talking about video being your main focus. And daylight F4 is fine. Others are for night videos, and I get that. So you may not need all the lenses that come out, the 1.2s or whatever comes out. And that's fine. But if you are a Nikon shooter and you're tired of waiting for Nikon to come out with another body or whatever, and I'm not even going to get into what does the body you shoot with now, why doesn't it suit you? Why do you need something different? It's up to you. If you want to switch brands, by all means, again, go for it. Make yourself happy, because if you're happy, you're going to use the camera more than if you're unhappy. And if you're looking at, well, I see, the Canon R8, an affordable camera that does all these things that camera is doing. I mean, I think it's a great camera at a fantastic price. Nikon should do something real soon, not to counter it, but to offer the Nikon community the same deal. But again, if you feel like, hey man, I'm going to jump on that, then by all means do it. I am not a Nikon fanboy. I love Nikon equipment. I just don't like their pace, I guess I should say. But I'm not switching myself. And the 85 1.2, I don't need it, but I want it, and I'm going to get it. So again, folks, if you are in that quandary of, well, I like Nikon, but I'm not getting what I want and from Nikon right now, so I'm going to try something else, by all means, go do it. So, Nikon's not going to call me and make me one of their ambassadors. That's for certain, because I do believe that you need to make yourself happy first. And I've been asked by a lot of people, what camera should I get? And they don't own a camera yet. And I tell them the same thing. Go find each brand. Somebody, people, if you're trying to get into photography and you've been around photographers, enough people, put your hands on each brand. Hold it in your hand. Whatever feels best to you, you're more likely to go out and actually use. Whatever aesthetically pleases you, you're going to be more likely to use.
What Chuck is trying to say is hold all the brands, and when you've decided that Nikon has the best ergos, buy it.
So we get into those conversations quite often saying, well, this is the best ergonomics in a camera body.
It's all fun.
Yeah, but I mean, it's what suits me. I can't say it's the best. I can tell you that it's what suits me. So again, I'm not a great salesman for any brand. I'm not going to sell any brand. You got to get what suits you and enjoy it. So
I could be a good salesperson, but Nikon doesn't give me anything.
Yeah. And, and within each brand, then we can talk about, if somebody has a certain brand, well, what's the best lens I could purchase for shooting high school football, let's say. Well, everybody that's in that brand can tell you what that brand offers for shooting that genre. But I think it's wrong when we say, well, you need to jump to Nikon and get the 400 4.5. Don't go buy Nikon just because there's a camera and a body that I think would work for it. You buy what you want. And again, enjoy it. Go out and shoot. And here's the key. We tell people go out and shoot all the time, but it's more than that. Shoot and share. I mean, that's the fun of photography, is sharing what you're shooting. This is coming from somebody that hadn't shared anything in a long time. But I mean, I'll tell you, we have for those of you that don't know, most of you probably do, we have AP Studios group on Facebook, and it's there for people to share what they're shooting. And, it's growing pretty quickly, actually. And people, there are some fantastic photos that people are posting over there, wildlife and other. And, that's the fun of photography again, unless you're in business, a working photographer, and then it may be a little bit different. But for those of us that are and we're amateurs only because we don't earn money from our photography, we just like to share what we shoot. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you should do that, because that's what keeps you inspired. And,
right.
and our photo review, and it sounds like I'm plugging what we do here. And I guess I am sort of, but the point is that we do a photo review once a month, the first Saturday of every month. And it's inspiring to see what people are shooting. And it makes me think, well, I want to go out and try that. I want to try that genre. And again, that's a photography community. we've lost that in photography with YouTube and influencers and everything else. All we want to do is fight over my dog's bigger than your dog, my dog's prettier than your dog, or whatever. When the truth is, all of them take wonderful photos, and we can't deny that. Especially you watch our photo review every month, and I mean, we've got shooters that shoot Canon, we've got folks that shoot film, we've got folks that shoot Nikon, Fuji, Sony. It doesn't matter, and there's some wonderful photos there. And again, it's inspiring, and that's what our photo review is about. It's not a critique.
And honestly, like anybody that hasn't, like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or plug my own channel, but I shot the camera that everybody likes from Canon, which is the R5, and I shot the A7 R5, and I own the Z9. Okay. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I have a very, very, very good eye for what I do, and I can barely see a difference, guys. I can barely see a difference in the performances. So whatever camera you're using, just stop griping and go out and shoot it, and please show me the pictures. Show me the work, because I want to see it for no other reason other than I want to see how good your image is, so I can go out and get better, because I don't want you to beat me. That's what drives me, you know? Like that's the only reason why I'm good at post-processing, is because I saw everyone else's shots looked better than mine. And I was like, I'm just a sharp. And I saw that, and that inspired me to go and do more, you know? I want to see the images, and I want you guys to print your images too.
Well, that's what we do, especially with YouTube. Everybody goes to all these channels, you know, wildlife photographers, landscape photographers, portrait photographers, and they love looking at the photos these people take. And you know what? That's what it's all about. So share what you do as well. And the other thing is you know, if you can get the right kind of critique for what you're doing, you can learn and continue to build what you're doing. And here's a suggestion. Don't be me. Find a genre that you really like and get good at it, or you'll never get good at anything, because I shoot everything. And, you know, that means that I never really get to the point where I'm great or at any one genre. But if that's what you want to do, be a Joe McNally, then go about it. I mean, it only took him 50 years. So to get to that point. And the other thing, we talk about this from time to time, talking about lighting. You know, everybody's a natural light shooter. Well, I'm a natural light shooter. I don't, you know, whatever. And I think sometimes that's just an excuse for, I don't know anything about artificial lighting, and I don't want to experiment with it. But I would encourage everybody, if it's nothing else and nothing more than getting a speed light, and they're so reasonable nowadays with the third party speed lights and even flash strobes, studio strobes. It's reasonably priced. Get one and start playing with it, and ask questions of people. How do I do this? How do I do that? You will be amazed at how it opens up your photography, whether it's indoor only or indoor and outdoor. Try it. I think you'll be surprised at how easy it is once you start playing with it. So all these things to say, we can argue all day long about what's the best and whatever. And the truth is, the best is what you can afford and what feels good in your hand and is aesthetically pleasing to you.
I agree with you on that, Chuck. Like, honestly, I would recommend people buy if it's in your budget, a really nice monolight or a decently nice monolight, and then it's done, because the modifiers themselves are dirt cheap. They're like $50, $60. You can get a gigantic one, which will completely change how your image looks, because it'll just like a huge light source, and it's just going to be soft and beautiful and a smooth transition into shadows, and it's going to cost you like $52. You know, lighting is so cheap, and it does so much.
It is now compared to where it was years ago, no doubt about that. But let me caution you: lighting is a money pit, and it's a money pit because once you start, you can't stop. Like everything else in photography, you just can't stop. I'm going to get this, but don't get it just because somebody else recommended it. You know, buy within your means and continue to progress. And I guarantee you're going to have a whole lot more fun, because especially with light, it gives you so much creative ability. it's really amazing what you can do with just a little bit of light. So, you know,
And
get out
actually,
there.
Nancy P says she can afford different brands because it's too costly for lenses. Exactly, which is why whenever I tried out all these other things on my channel, I just rented them, and I actually don't even really want to do that anymore. I thought that's what I was going to do with my channel, and what I found out by trying all these things that really what I care about is what I was doing last year, which was just shooting a lot of photography.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a fool's game to dream about other brands and what other brands are doing. Learn your camera inside and out. You know what's a shame? With the Z9 today, I just put it in like the 12-bit ProRes RAW today I hadn't done that yet. Turns out I don't have a card big enough. I could only get I started making a video, and then like my Atomos showed me that it stopped recording. I was like, what the heck? And I looked at it. It's like, oh, I can only get 1 minute and 40 seconds out of Pro on my card. So, but yeah, I don't even know that yet, you know, as far as like, oh, I got the video down, but like, or the photo menus down, but it's a fool's game dreaming of what other brands are doing. Like, you give me a Nikon D3200 and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make some magic with it, you know? And so if you're not going out and actually shooting, like, I don't know what you're doing. And so, you know, the comparison of the lenses that I was going to do with my channel this year, I don't make enough on my channel. They don't get that many views, and it costs $50 a weekend to rent these things. And so it's just like, no, really what I want to do is like, I don't care about Sony's lenses or Canon's lenses like I thought I would. I want to use the lenses I have.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Joe, I agree. I've heard that a lot. And I was one of those people that said, because I was shooting a lot of outdoor events, well, I'm a natural light shooter. Well, sure you are, because you're shooting outdoor events. I even learned that even there, sometimes you can actually use flash. And I'm not saying that, you know, go buy a flash for just that. But if you're in a rut, you know, especially if you're a natural light shooter, you've never dabbled in light before. If you're in a rut and you're thinking, I just don't feel creative and blah, 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 pick up a speed light and watch how quick you get creative and
guys,
realize, wow, here's a whole new avenue that I've never even tapped into. And now I want to pursue it.
I've talked to a lot of people that admit that they're afraid of the complexities of lighting. And guys, I just want to reassure you, if that's you, it is as easy to get started as expose for your background and then shoot your flash, dial in your flash, and in 3 or 4 photos, you will see the difference of lighting. But all you need to know is expose for your background and then adjust your flash. It's not that scary. And then once you do that, it's just a matter of moving the light around, right? It's not scary. It's not that darn expensive to get started, you know. And actually, Nancy P asked a question, or somebody asked a question directly towards me. So Z-Wade flash or hot lights? And I feel ashamed that I'm on the panel and I've never heard the term hot lights. Do you mean continuous lights?
Yes, continuous. That's
Okay.
the old term, because they were hot. You had to wear gloves to actually adjust them.
I actually use both. In the field, I always take flash. I prefer flash because you can get a lot more power out of them. But continuous lighting I use sometimes in the studio. Whenever I teach with continuous lights, because that's, you talk about cheap. You can get a set of bright enough Chinese-made continuous lights for like $40, right? And so whenever I teach, I always teach first with continuous light because it's really attainable. But in my actual personal work, it depends on the genre. So like with like products and stuff, I prefer to just dial it in with a continuous light and get the brightness that I need. And for me, it's easier to kind of just move it to where there's no glare. But with people, I prefer flash. I feel like flash is easier to get a beautiful skin tone, at least with the equipment that I have.
Flash is much easier because obviously you get all the power, light power in a strobe light or a speed light that you need. where continuous light, and when you start playing with it, you can use it, and it's coming on strong. It really is. A lot of people are beginning to play with continuous light in studio and even outside. I just saw somebody, SJ Squarespace, had a continuous light outside, and he was making it work because, I think that we always talk about, and I don't want to get into all this right now, but we always talk about overpowering the sun. Yeah, that is one technique for using flash outdoors, but even on a dimly lit day or in the late afternoon, late evening, when the sun's setting, there's just a million places that you can actually use flash outdoors, and it doesn't have to overpower the sun because you want the ambience of the setting and just add enough light so that it accents the subject that you're shooting or something like that. And you're not going to get that the first day you throw a strobe light on your camera or whatever. But that's just something to aspire to. And it's a whole creative process within lighting and lighting modifiers and everything else. But I guess, as Roy said a minute ago, or he says right here in his comment, money on lighting will improve images more than a lens or a new camera. And that is so true. Or it will take what you have right now, your camera and lens that you have right now, to a new level. No doubt about it. It's amazing. And I may be preaching to the crowd. Maybe most of you do use lights, but if you don't, try it. It's a cheap enough experiment to try.
There is
and a speed light and a controller, and you're off to the races. And you'll be amazed at the things you can do.
There is no lens on the planet or camera on the planet or any color science. If you buy into that, there is none of those things in any combination or by themselves that will give you as much contrast as introducing a light, even as a beginner, right? You expose for the background, you adjust your flash to where your subject is the appropriate brightness, and you're going to have more contrast than any other piece of equipment on the planet is going to give you,
Yeah.
It's just beautiful what it does to skin tones.
And Greg, that's another subject, and we've talked about it a little bit, and we probably need to bring it up in another live stream and talk about printing. And I am not one that prints. Myself, I tried it. There is an art to printing, and you have to understand printing to be able to do it. I'm not saying it's super difficult. It's not. I don't have
There's
the
just
patience.
a learning curve, right?
Yeah. But if you can print yourself, you'd be amazed that, I have so many photos that I have to have them printed. And I have some printed, but I send off to a printing house to have it done. But if you could master the art of printing, and I know a lot of people in here do print their own photos, then there's more excitement in your creativity and your photography.
And what's amazing about printing as well. And by the way, if you guys want, you can always hit me up. I have a printing service. It's generally cheaper than the printing houses unless I'm shipping across the world. But what's kind of amazing about printing, and I never knew this until I bought a printer, was a lot of my older images that I didn't really like digitally, like looking at them on my computer, they were just like, yeah, they're okay. They actually print really, really well. And some of the things that I thought would print really well are just better. They look better digitally, right? And so you may find that you have just buy you like a cheap pack of Walmart 4x6s and test out a bunch of different prints if you have your own printer. And you will find like, wow, I've been killing it for years, It's like I have all these great printable pictures,
What was it here? I'm sorry. I just found your comment again, Jeff. I saw it and I wanted to come back to it. My main interest is in mirrorless is one camera that can shoot video and stills equally well. D500 is pitiful at video as a video camera. And I will agree. I use the D500 actually for video, but you're going to have to pull video to use the D500 or any Nikon DSLR. That's the magic of the mirrorless system, at least within Nikon. It was one of the reasons I immediately wanted to go to the Z series cameras with Nikon, and I haven't been, they didn't let me down. The Z6 again, right now, right here, and it'll focus on my hand. and as soon as I move my hand away, I mean, it's just, I mean, you can't ask for anything better than this if you're going to be.
You know what's funny about that, Chuck? I wasn't in the conversation. I wish I was on stream when you and Joe Man were talking about this. It seems like people forgot that when the Z6 launched, it was pretty well understood that it was like the best video camera that you could get at that point. And that's why there were so many packages of getting, like, you know, you buy the whole package with the Atmos setup and all that stuff, because everybody was like, this is an amazing camera for video. And then all of a sudden it's like the Z6 was never good enough. Like, it was literally like 4 years ago, you know, and everyone was like, it's amazing for video. It's
Well, you know,
perfect content creator kit.
I'm not going to lie. I got caught up in all the hype over AF, and I mean, it was true. It was real. All the, you know, discussions about AF and where Nikon stood and Canon and what was I going to say? And Sony and whatever, but it was all related to action and birds in flight. And I'm glad we're past that now, and Nikon's where they need to be on it. So we don't have to fight that battle anymore. But truthfully, I could shoot my Z6 and Z6 II single point autofocus, and it was just like using my DSLR. So, you know, I didn't have a problem with it, except for if you tried to go out and do birds in flight, of course, it takes not that you can't get a photo before somebody jumps in and says, well, I've got photos that I took with my whatever. I understand that. But the new AF that we see today in Canon, Sony, Nikon, Fuji, and now even Panasonic, does make things easier. It doesn't mean your photos are better. It just means it makes it a whole lot easier. No doubt about that.
Oh, so, you know, something I noticed in my most recent shoot was the Z9. I guess it's just the latest firmware or something. I didn't know that it was going to be an aspect of it. It seems like the eye pupil is getting way more hits than it ever has, because it used to be about 60-40. Sometimes it was eyelash, sometimes it was eyeball. You know, it has been dead center on the pupil a lot. And so I'm super, super thankful for that. I know we got a lot of wildlife people in here, and I know there's been specific like wildlife updates and stuff, but that's just something to take note of, because that's my whole thing with like the Canon R5 is its eye pupil tracking. The Z9 is knocking out some eye pupils pretty darn consistently.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you know, I'm waiting for the Z8. I want the Z8. I want it. Okay. I don't need it. I want it. I want to make that very clear. It's not going to make my photography any better. I'll tell you that right now. You know, it's not going to motivate me to get off my behind and get outside early in the morning or whatever. Or to say, look, I've had enough of what I have to do for life right now. I need to take a break and go shoot. It's not going to do that. But anyway, the Z9, you know, we're talking about what's a Z8 going to be, and I'll jump to that real quick. Because I know that was the subject for the stream tonight. The Z8, whether it's a super high megapixel camera or not, I mean, a lot of studio and wedding photographers are looking at the Z8 being higher megapixel. Landscape photographers, of course, looking at it for the same reason. And even me, you know, if it turns out it's going to be a super high megapixel camera, you know, it is what it is. Although I might be more interested in the Z6 III. And then I'd have all three of those models, 1, 2, and 3. I could become a Roy Bigsby. Yeah, let me pull that off the shelf here. Here's the 2.
You're going to become a legacy Z6er.
There you go. But, you know, I like the Z6 and the Z6 II. But anyway, the Z8, is it going to make me a better photographer? No. Because the Z9, and I'm not trying to sell the Z9, I'm just telling you from my point of view, the Z9 does everything I need or I want it to do. It's a great portrait camera. It's a great studio camera. As a matter of fact, I have a camera stand also, by the way. Do I need it? No. How many people have a camera stand? I bet there's very few, if anybody in here has a camera stand. But I saw it. I wanted it. I got it.
You're the only one I know, Chuck.
But I put my Z9 on the camera stand, and man, it's so convenient having that. I can't tell you how nice that it is to have one if you're a studio shooter, and tether it through Capture One and shoot models. Well, the few that I do, and I never even look at the back of the camera.
Yeah.
I can actually shoot from the computer. I never even look at the camera unless I'm changing some settings for more mood or whatever. But I just pull the trigger and focus every time. That's how good cameras have become. And all the brands are doing that, have that now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just, saying that the Z9 is a great studio camera as well. Do I need a studio camera specifically for the studio? No, the Z9 checks that block. The Z9 checks. And again, Canon R3, Canon R5, Sony A1, Sony A9, even the Sony, what is it? The new Sony R5. All these cameras will do the same thing. But so with the Z8, why am I waiting for the Z8? Because I want it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't justify it in any shape, form, or fashion. But so is the Z8 coming anytime soon? I tend to believe the latest speculation, I can't even call it a rumor from Nikon Rumors. I don't know that it is or it isn't, but maybe just speculation that the end of March, 1st of April for the Z8. However, I would think that Nikon would give us a few hints here in the next few weeks as to something happening about the Z8.
That's hopelessly optimistic there, Chuck. They're not going to.
I know. I'm saying it because this is what I want to happen.
I do too. Chuck, did I tell you my super simple way to make Nikon the most integrated with their consumers? I think I did. I have this idea. It would take nothing for them to build. I would like to see almost like a Nikon social app where it's like people that shoot Nikon could just like have a free account on there.
Yeah.
And Nikon can, of course, if it can't be their marketing team that leads it because they'll never post anything, it has to be somebody else. But it's almost like a Nikon social media. You can post pictures on there. There's a little forum for you to post your Nikon pictures in there. And there's like, releases that you see in there. And that would be so good for somebody like me with like a YouTube channel. I'd go on there and be like, what's hot in the Nikon app today is blah, 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 and nobody is doing that. Not Canon, not Sony. Nobody has a direct-to-consumer social platform.
No, they don't.
That would be so cool, dude. I would be all over that.
Me too. I would be too.
You can make friends in there and stuff like that, and it would be so easy to build. Literally, like high school kids build apps at their house,
I know I jumped off topic, folks.
Sorry.
We were talking about lighting. No, it's okay. That's what we do here, right?
Yeah.
It's about everything, not any one thing. But as Roy was saying, TTL makes speed light easy. It really does. And if you want to see that in action, I don't know if any of you folks follow Daniel Norton. He's from Adorama. He does a weekly live stream where he's shooting with lights in studio. He's a lot of fun. He's a great guy. If you haven't checked him out, you might want to check him out. And he shoots Nikon, if that makes any Nikon shooters feel better. I don't care what he shoots, but anyway. But he goes over lighting and lighting techniques, lighting equipment. Every week he has a live stream at, I believe it's at 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. And anyway, my point is go over there because he always goes over, he's always talking about the easiest way to do this or that, or just getting into lighting. And I bring him up because TTL reminded me he shoots TTL instead of using a light meter. And if you don't shoot with lights now, or you don't have any experience with lights, you don't understand what that really means. And I hope I'm not offending anybody. And there will be people that will tell you got to use a light meter. And then there are people that don't use a light meter. But the point is you kind of pick up some tips and things like that. And TTL makes lighting easier. It's just not quite as creative as full manual. But it would at least give you the opportunity if you got a strobe light and somebody recommended, I don't know who it was recommending, don't go overboard, right off the bat, get a speed light and experiment with that. Because if it's something it turns out you don't like to do, you don't care about it after you've done it, I'd find that hard to believe. At least you haven't invested a lot of money in lighting equipment that you're not going to use. But I think it's enough to make you think, wow, I like this. Now I want to try something more. I want to try to improve. So TTL makes it easy. Takes away it takes away the need for a light meter. And if anybody has a light meter and they're stuck on using a light meter and they think, well, I don't know how TTL, because it shows you a correct exposure or close to correct exposure. And then you can dial in your lights yourself for manual shooting. So anyway, a discussion for another show somewhere down the road.
I shoot full manual myself. I never did learn how to do TTL, but I'm so fast at dialing it. Like I can dial in my light in like 2 shots. And so,
right. And I'm the same way, especially because I'm shooting in the same studio, same light in studio and everything else.
Yep.
And I have a jump off point that I can go to. And within a couple of shots, I've dialed in my lighting.
Manual flash is actually easier than it's ever been. Like on my Z9, I set up depth of field preview on one of my front buttons, and I do the same thing on my other cameras too. And whenever I'm dialing in my background, I just hold that down. I don't use the depth of field, but that show, like, when you attach a flash to your Z9, it just illuminates the EVF, right? Yeah. It doesn't show you your scene anymore, but you push that depth of field button that I have programmed and it actually shows me my scene. I dial in the background and then I'm done. The background's done. I just two shots to adjust my flash and it's good to go.
Yeah. And what he's saying, folks, is he gets the ambient light where he wants it. And then he just adds enough light to the model or subject to expose them for the scene. Yeah. And it may be underexposed because that's the scene he's shooting them in or whatever. So yeah, absolutely. And that's where the creativity comes in, lighting. And so many things you can do with lighting, feathering lighting, overhead, bouncing light. And I mean, there's just so many things that you can do with it for dramatic photos, for very soft and elegant, high key photos. And I don't want to get into all that for those that it sounds overwhelming, and it can be, but just get a flash. If you've never done it, just get a speed light and start playing with it. And oh, by the way, all the rage right now is the deer in headlights shots. That seems to be the thing right now. So you can't go wrong shooting people at parties, and they're overexposed compared to the ambient light and everything else. That's the rage now.
I hate it. That was popularized in the punk rock scene in like the 80s, like the brick wall and just blasted. And I absolutely hate it. Terry Richardson is a scumbag photographer that has gotten in a lot of trouble. He's even taken pictures of Obama blasted with like on camera flash, just totally overexposed, crooked, Yeah. I hate it. I hate it.
Space People says he's about to cop me some Walmart LEDs. Hey, Space People, that's what's illuminating me right now. I bought a cheap little LED mat, the foldable LED panel on Amazon.
Is it a ring or is it just like a panel?
It's just a panel.
I need to get something that can like go right above my computer.
Yep.
I need to get, I don't have a way to hold, like, I don't like my Mac computer camera is really terrible. And so I don't have a place to put like a camera. And so I'm thinking maybe like get like a high quality, high resolution webcam and then like a little panel to like illuminate me, because this little side light when I'm looking this way isn't very effective.
No, yeah, you're right. And I have it on a cheap light stand behind the table right here. Mm-hmm. And I actually took that panel and put it in a soft box to soften it up even more. It works fine.
Yeah.
Cheap and easy and economical. I love it. Oh, man. Daryl says 46 watching, only 22 likes. Yeah, folks, if you would.
Come on. You
Help
guys,
me out here. Help me
I
out.
don't-
Give me a like. I mean, they're
I
free.
do- I don't know if you guys hate Nikon or Chuck, but I'm upset about both. Hit the like button.
It could be me. And again, we are different, man. This is not your typical YouTube channel. And we're all over the place and we like to have fun and we have a great time in the community here. So I understand not everybody likes that. They want down to the give me the info right now. I gotta get it and I gotta go. And you may not get it all if you're not here to experience the entire stream with us. So for those that enjoy it, I appreciate it. Appreciate the likes. Those that don't, this is what we do. So anyway, all right.
I gotta check up on the progress of man, Chuck. My last 2 videos, absolutely bombed. I haven't seen videos perform that bad in a very long time. I may not do another Sony video ever again. They did so poor.
That's a shame.
It's absolutely unreal. They got like 98 views in 2 days. That is so terrible.
Wow.
Absolutely terrible.
You know, that's something else. And I don't want to get off the subject here because I'm really having a good time with the lighting things and, you know, trying to help others out. Oh shoot! Now I lost my train of thought on the whole subject. Daggone it! Oh, Nancy asked a minute ago about there's a problem. Z9, not all speed lights or lights are compatible. All strobes are compatible with Nikon. You just need the Nikon trigger that each brand sells. A trigger for Nikon, Canon, Sony, or Fuji, or whatever. But speed lights, you're right. You may run into a problem with TTL on the Nikon Z9 with some brands. I don't think you will now. I think that they're all caught up. I have what is it? The Godox. I can't remember which speed light, but it will not work in TTL on my Z9. However, you can do firmware updates on those speed lights. But I think all the new speed lights have caught up and they are compatible, even TTL. But no matter what, any speed light will work. It will work in manual mode.
Hey, I have to address this real quick. Manila Martin. Yes, I do have to throw all the shade in the world at Terry Richardson because of the things that he did to models. And so look that up, man. I just have to throw that out there. I'm sorry, Chuck. Terry Richardson is a bad guy, dude.
Very controversial, I know. Yep. Hey, Peter. Yes, they will release it when ready. What do you mean when they're ready or when it's ready? Because I have a feeling it's ready. Okay. So, but there, I know you've been in here before or quite a bit, quite often. And I'm sorry, there is no excuse. Nikon has taken their time for some reason unknown to us. And it's not about they can't. So it's just a matter of they're doing it when they want to do it for whatever reason. So yeah, it will definitely be released when it's ready, when they're ready, no doubt about that. But I think that's the key, not when it's ready, but when they're ready.
Watch all of us be wrong and like Nikon isn't even working on it. They're like, we don't even know what you guys are talking about. That's we haven't even started on it.
And you know what? It doesn't matter if they announced a Z6 III.
They just need something.
Yes, because right now Nikon has nothing below the Z9, even though we talk favorably about the Z6 and the Z6 II, Z7, Z7 II.
Yeah.
But everybody's waiting for this other video capability stuff. The Z9 spoiled us.
Yeah.
And not just that, we couldn't expect them to put all the tech that they've got in the Z9 in anything other than the Z9. That would be the old way of thinking. That was the DSLR days. But now that every manufacturer has shown us that they're willing to take some of that tech out of their flagship line cameras and bring it down into even entry-level cameras, Nikon can't ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
And you may say they can. You may say, well, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
Well, see, I haven't been a part of your guys' conversation since the R8 came out, and even though like I don't care because I'm not a Canon shooter, this is actually what I like to see in the industry because I feel like Nikon slapped everybody in the face with the price tag of the Z9. Now Canon has slapped everybody in the face with the price of the R8 for what you get. That's what I like to see. I
Yeah.
like to see that competition. That's what I
Yep.
want.
Absolutely. Hey,
Because-
Nancy, thanks for being in here tonight. I appreciate you being in here. Always nice to see you. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
That's I was just saying that's what I like to see because for years we haven't had that. Everybody's been doing their own thing. Like Canon kind of seems to be more focused on they seem to be taking Sony more seriously than Nikon, but there hasn't been anything like Nikon. I feel like was the first. They were the first ones to draw blood with the price of the Z9, and now Canon came back and said, "I don't think so. We're going to cram the R8 with stuff, and it's going to be this price." And now Canon or Nikon and Sony are going to have to be like, "Huh, okay, let's go back to the drawing board." That's what I want, man. I want that with lenses too. I want it with everything, performance and price.
Yeah. And, I read Peter's other comment here, talking about he's been in Nikon since 1972 and he's happy with it. And that's great, Peter. That's great. But, there's nothing wrong with people that are in Nikon now or whatever brand you're in and wanting more. Nothing wrong with that. Again, I go back to, and you may not have been in here earlier, if car makers said, you know what, we're not building a new model for the next 5 years because the models we built are great and you can just use them and be happy with them. Does that make any sense at all? Because a company's not here just to please us. They can't go bankrupt to please us. They have to make money.
Yep.
So the bottom line is a company has to market itself and its new products so people will buy them. So everybody out there that says, well, it doesn't matter when the Z8 comes out. Well, it does. It does to us. Okay. Yeah. And I'm tired of people trying to tell me I shouldn't want it. I should just be happy that Nikon will do it whenever. No.
Yeah. And Chuck,
No.
I didn't
I'm a
even
consumer.
notice. I didn't even notice until you said it earlier before I was on the stream that it didn't even dawn on me that because I'm not screaming for like a new camera. But now, like, I guess I understand the plight of everybody because you said that October 21 was the Z9.
Yeah.
With the exception of the Z30 and then a new color scheme for the ZFC, there hasn't been any other cameras. And see, for me, you said that doesn't count. And normally I'd be like, yeah, it counts for something. But Nikon has 11% of the market share, and most Nikon shooters are the upper echelons of experience. They don't care about the Z30. And so you can't really count the Z30 as like a significant announcement. And I doubt it took that much to even produce it, And so, yeah, that's kind of shocking. Like we're looking at 2 years with nothing new or nothing really excitingly new. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being selfish because I want like higher end stuff. I don't know.
No, you're right, Z. And, Seth, he's talking about that's what happens when people only focus on specs. When Sony or Canon shown better AF and the whole universe that Z6 no longer viable for video work. I don't know if I would be so quick to say Z6 was no longer viable for video work. I disagree with anybody that says that. 80% users never max the capabilities of the Z6. That is true. But again, the whole point is, Sith, why can't people buy a new model whether they even know how to turn the one they have on? If I'm a company, you know what? I want you to buy the next camera. I don't care whether you need it. But if you want me to continue to produce cameras and support what you already own, I need money. My company needs money. And then we won't go into, well, they don't need as much as they make. That's up to them. That's called capitalism. And if you owned a business, you'd understand that extremely well because you as a business owner want to make enough money to live comfortably and pay and have the business pay for that comfort of living. But I digress here.
Well, a thought that I had as I was driving the dog run when you and Joe Man were talking, you were talking about this, like with the cars and stuff. I feel like it's my job. It's my job as like a YouTube content creator to tell you to get out there and shoot photography and don't worry about the gear. Go out there and do your stuff. But it's Nikon's job to put out the stuff and make me irrelevant. It's they have to sell you stuff. It's our jobs to get you to go shoot photography. It's their jobs to shove stuff down your throat, and they're not shoving stuff down your throat. They need to shove stuff down your throat. I want them to make money,
Yeah. Again, you don't have to buy the next new thing, and there's nothing wrong for people saying, give me the next new thing. Get it out here. Get it out on the market. Why do people feel compelled to defend a manufacturer? No, we don't need it right now. You probably don't need it right now. It's not a matter of need. It's a matter of want. That's the great thing about life. If we had to justify everything we buy, most people wouldn't have that giant screen TV in their room, in their living room, because you don't need it.
Yeah, people would come in and they would go in the living room and be like, "Why do you have a microwave on top of a VCR?" It'd be an old tube TV this big.
So, I don't want to be antagonistic here, but the point is, it drives me crazy when people try to tell me, "Well, you can't have it," or you should wait. You have to wait, and you should be happy to wait. Or, no, not at all. I collect cameras like you collect coffee mugs or whatever you collect. And I've said this too. Why do you need it? Well, there are people walking around with a Rolex on their wrist or a very expensive Seiko or something. And a $14 Timex at Walmart does exactly the same thing. Yes. It tells you what time it is. It doesn't look as pretty. It's not as big status symbol. But the bottom line is you wanted it and you got it. But right. You could buy a $14 Timex and still get the time.
Here's my bottom line.
Why do we do that to people? Why can't I rant about Nikon not giving us something, or at least telling us why they can't give us something?
Yes.
Why is that bad? Why is that wrong? Okay, go ahead.
It's not. Here's my bottom line. Because I care about you guys, I want to deter you from buying that new piece of thing that's not going to really give you that much. But at the same time, I am really, really grateful for the people, like me and Chuck, that we just kind of want it because we need Nikon to make that money. But I care about you guys enough that I don't want you to blow money like me and Chuck, but we have the right to rant about and blow our money on whatever the heck we want. And so,
yeah. And you do too. You have a right to not spend your money on it.
That's right.
I don't harass anybody and saying, well, you know what, you should be buying this camera. No, you buy what you want. Just be happy.
Yep.
That's all that matters. And Peter brings up a good point here that I will counter real quick. Peter, I'm a wildlife photographer. For my African wildlife photography, my Z7 is just fine. You don't need, there you go. You don't need a Z9 or IAF to take a sitting lion or a buffalo waddling over a track. You don't. You're right. You don't need it, but you could want it. And there are people that want it. And what's wrong with that? Why is that offensive to want it? I don't understand it. And here's the thing. A lot of people say, well, I don't like hearing about it. Nobody makes you listen to any of this. And I'm not trying to run anybody off, but my point is I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be real when I'm in here, and I expect everybody to be real too. But don't criticize us because we want something. There is nothing wrong with wanting things. And I could go to anybody's house and walk through the house, I'm sure, garage, house, or whatever. Do you need that? Do you need a ski boat? No, you don't need a ski boat. You want it. Do you need that riding lawnmower? No, you want it. Do you need that 80-inch TV? No, you want it. And I'm okay with you wanting that. Be okay with me wanting what I want is all I'm trying to say.
I have a couple. Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I have a couple things. First of all, yeah, you don't need a super fancy camera to shoot lions sitting down. I just want to recommend to everybody that you don't do it with a 50 millimeter. The second thing that I want to mention is I just find it. I feel very fortunate that nobody comes at me with like, well, do you really need that, Zach? Like, you have a totally different experience than I do, because like nobody questions me, you know. Like, no, I guess nobody really cares, you know, and
Yeah.
that's really nice. So, whoever is pestering Chuck about these things, is stay away from my comments with that nonsense.
Well, no, let me clarify that. I don't think that they're pestering me with it. I don't think anybody's, personally saying, Chuck, you don't, whatever. I think it's a general statement to the photography community. You don't need these things. And you don't if you can't afford it. That's the only reason, though, honestly. Or if you're a working pro, you have to justify your purchases. I understand that. It has to pay you back. It has to pay for itself.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. But for those that want to go buy it and can't afford it, why would we ridicule them? Why would we ridicule them? Not just because they buy it, but because they want what's even speculated. That's the spice of life, man. That's what makes life wonderful, is we can speculate. We can dream. I don't want to go philosophical here, but why do we do that to ourselves?
And make no mistake, things do not have to pay for themselves in cash alone. They can pay for themselves in joy. So that's exactly a simple argument. I have YouTube Premium for $17 a month, and it pays for itself in convenience and joy, you know? I'm not having to deal with all the nonsense.
See, space people, I hear this all the time too, and it may in fact be true, but Nikon needs to go find the semiconductor maker that Canon is using. I guess they're doing a lot of it in-house, maybe, or Sony. Sony doesn't get, I don't know, maybe they do get some preferential treatment, but they're different divisions. It's like saying that the PlayStation division is forking out money for the imagery division for cameras. No, they're separate divisions within a big corporation. So, I mean, others are finding ways to, support their production of cameras. I'm sorry. I don't know why Nikon, and correct me if I'm wrong, why is Nikon the only one that everybody will use that excuse for? Nikon, all they say is we're having a problem sourcing parts. We don't know what part. They don't say chips.
Yeah,
it could be glass. I don't know.
It could be raw titanium for all we know. I mean, who knows?
Or magnesium. Yeah, I don't know.
Cobalt is a big issue right now.
Yep.
You have to have cobalt in pretty much every piece of electronics that you have, and there's a big humanitarian workers' rights crisis going on in that field. So it could be that, but nobody's going to come out and say, hey, we were buying cobalt from a slave labor camp. It's like, they're not going to say that. So you just don't know. It could be microchips. It could be battery fluid, lithium. Who knows? Why
is that such a secret? Why is that, if I let that out, then, we're going to go bankrupt or something. Just tell us.
Yeah.
And Seth, I feel you, man. I spent too much money last year on camera gear, but I do want a Z8 to pair with my Z9, Fuji 100S, and Fuji XH2S. I may need to offload one of the Fujis for the Z8. That's what I do, Seth. I liquidate, what I've had and move on to what I want. And I typically do it before the other comes out. And everybody said, well, that's foolish. I got plenty of cameras. I don't have to worry about not having a camera by letting some go. And especially with the F to Z mount lenses, I have Z that support me. I don't even use my F mount lenses anymore. But yeah, I do that. I wish I could have kept everything I've bought over the years, but I can't, because I feed my want by selling what I no longer want. But I feel you, man. I have to do that as well.
And see, I part with things that I want that I just don't use, Yeah. I actually love the 40 millimeter f2 and the 28 millimeter f2.8, but like I honestly do not use them that much, like hardly ever. And so it's
Yeah.
like I wonder why I have them right now, And so I may part with them, and put that money into my business to buy something else that's going to be. It's going to be an expensive year for me. If the 35 and the 135 all launch this year and the Z8, it's going to be an outrageously expensive year. Some stuff I don't use that I like is going to have to freaking go.
Here's my Sekonic meter, Roy. So yes, I do own one and I have used it, and I'm not going to say I will never use it again. I may, but it's becoming less and less needed for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So we've covered about everything again tonight, which is always the case. For those that tuned in and expecting it was going to be nothing but Z8, well, it never works that way here. You guys haven't figured it out. I'm not in control here. Okay. I've said this before. I just come in, open the room, and everybody takes off. And that's the way I want it to be, because where else can you go and spend however much time you want, whether it's just 10 minutes here or the entire stream, and talk about photography? I don't know of any other channel, and I'm not saying there isn't, but I haven't found anything yet, which makes us different. So I hope everybody's having a good time. Sometimes it gets a little warm, some of the conversations. Greg Wilson, I wish Nikon would listen to you, Chuck. Yeah, I don't know that I wish they'd, maybe on a few things, I wish they'd listen. But I definitely wouldn't want to run a corporation like Nikon, because they do have a lot more going on in the background. But I think we can all agree they've got some room for improvement when it comes to marketing and consumer relations.
I would be happy if they just fix their marketing. Everything else, like I can wait on products. I just want to know what's going on with them. I don't care if they're not here. I don't care if there's shortages. I don't care if they're having to move locations. I just want like an update. That's all I want. I just want to know, what to expect.
Jeff and Leslie. Jeff's off to bed. Jeff, thanks for being in here. If you're still here, buddy, appreciate as always you being in here. You always add a lot to the conversation.
Hey,
everybody
Chuck,
does. Yeah.
He left. Him and Nancy both left a long time ago. We're super far behind on the
Okay. Yeah. Well, let me get, that's okay. I'm terrible. I'm terrible, folks. I am sorry.
I haven't been helping. I was doing pretty decent whenever you went and got a refill and went to the bathroom, and we're just passionate, Chuck. Like we get, and there's a lot of things that me and you both like. They're talking about the Z8. We talked about lighting. Like don't get me started on lighting.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah, John. Hey, good to see you in here, John. I happened to look over at the other screen and saw you popped up over there, because that one is real time, and I'm stuck over here on this screen where I keep stopping it and getting way off course. But what's new? That's what I do. Oh man. And again, I want to welcome Mr. Wayne Maddox in here. I found his video tonight right before the stream, and Wayne, thank you so much for joining. I just dropped a comment saying I enjoyed his video, and drop by, join us tonight. And I guess he just looked up AP Studios. I really appreciate you dropping in, and you're welcome here anytime, sir. And since you're a video guy, and I know you can stream because I watched your video, you need to come in here and be on the panel with us, Wayne. So think about that.
Otherwise, I'm going to start accusing you of not liking Chuck, and you don't want that.
Well, that's okay. That's okay if you don't. But yeah, so check out Wayne Maddox. Wayne, what is your channel? I should know this. I'm going to have to pull it up and find out. Is it just your name? But I definitely want to give you a plug because I really enjoyed your video. I know you're passionate. He's a Nikon shooter, but not entirely Nikon. which makes you a great candidate for the panel, man. And to everybody out there, as I've said so many times before, if you would like to be in here on the panel, just send me an email, and in the subject line, put link to the show, and we'll get you connected, get you up and running, get you in here. And I don't care what you shoot. It doesn't matter. It's so much easier to be a Sony only or a Canon only or a Nikon only channel. It really is. It's so much easier to do that, because then you don't have to worry about including everybody in everything, and people from different brands being in the chat and fighting or whatever. I'm really thankful to all of you that we don't do that here, that everybody minds their manners, and we can have a discussion, even though it may get a little warm or heated from time to time. But I just appreciate it. You guys humble me. I haven't said that for a while, but I am humbled. The fact that so many people want to be a part of this, I think it's fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Hey, John, sorry about that, man. I had a really cool idea lined out. I was going to basically edit everything that I had to do alone today on live stream last night, and I was just having bandwidth issues, man. My internet was just total booty cheeks, dude. But I appreciate you stopping by for the 15 seconds that I saw you before it crashed.
Looking, I'm trying to catch up, trying to get down here to the bottom. I just don't want to pass up a comment that needs to be shared. Chuck, you don't need what you want. This is true. I don't need it. I just want it. And that is going to be a shirt. That is going to be an AP Studio shirt. I don't need it. I want it.
Hey, Roy, and amongst the video game community, which I'm not a big part of, whenever you have crappy internet, they always call it, you got that Walmart internet. He said, I have Australian style internet.
You and me both, Seth. It's all about 80% wants and 20% needs. You're right. I mean, that is absolutely true. All I need is a roof over my head, food in the house, a place to sleep, warm. That's it. But I am so selfish. I want it to be cool in the summer.
That's where me and Chuck are different. I'll live in my car before I get rid of some of my things.
Yeah, I saw that. So has anybody confirmed what was going on, how this was shot? I saw some crazy thing on news feed about it was taken with a 400 millimeter lens and a camera. Come on.
It was 60,000 feet.
Yeah, 60,000 feet. I'm sorry.
Now the power shot might do that.
Yeah.
That can see through people's souls at 2 miles away. But yeah, I don't think that was not a 400 millimeter unless they had it on like a 1600 teleconverter. Yeah, 1600X. F95.
Well, I see quite a few talking about chip shortage or whatever and things like that. You know what? We're going to find out. Nikon can't hide it forever. When chips are in abundant supply and we're still waiting on things, then what's it going to be? So, I'm not jumping ship because I don't need to. I don't want to. But I am going to complain about, Nikon's just constant neglect of us, their consumers.
And that's why my dream of being somebody that, see, here's the thing. I don't think Nikon will ever give me anything to review. They're never going to help me out because I basically make fun of their marketing department, but I use their products. If I'm going to take a dump on the company, I can't be a Nikon shooter in order to receive stuff early for review. I have to shoot a different brand and still take even more poops on the company. Then I get to review stuff early.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Chosen. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not worried about Nikon calling me and saying, "Hey, we got an NDA that's got your name on it. Do you want to sign it?" No, that isn't going to happen for me. Nope.
I would love it, but I'm going to do what I do.
And I kid. It sounds like I'm kidding, but I'm honest. I really think that Nikon USA, call me pompous. I don't care what you call me, but I do believe Nikon USA has my name on a dartboard.
Me and you both, Chuck, sent pretty nasty emails. I never read yours, and I never read mine off to you, but mine wasn't very happy.
Oh man, Tim Hunter, U.S. dial-up puts Australian internet to shame.
Ouch! That bad.
Oh man,
you might as well write a letter at that point.
Here you go. Here's a classic case of need and want.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great, boy. That's great.
Hey John, I see that John Ishii saw my my YouTube short about the Nikon Z9 card door. That's one of my favorite videos I've ever made. I thought it was so funny going back and watching it. The best part of that short was step 1, grab your camera. Step 2, stop complaining. Step 3, you have more than one finger, dummy. Oh, that's some of my best work.
Man. Yeah, you know, and I think sometimes we as a brand shooter should, and it's hard to do because, you know, if your camera, a new camera or whatever is getting bashed or whatever, but we need to just step back and say, okay, you know, you found some fault because it's inconvenient or uncomfortable for you in opening the card slot door. Okay, we'll accept that. What else you got? You know, I mean, it's almost as if people want to find fault in, I mean, they do. They want to find fault. There's nothing wrong with a good criticism or a review that actually talks about things that might not be the best or up to par. You know, I want that. I actually want that. I don't want ambassadors. I don't want to watch ambassadors reviews because I don't think that they're the most honest people in the world.
They're not genuine at all. Their job depends on it.
You know, it's sad to say that, and it's really tough to say that about people. But I mean, their first love is the brand, the job they have with the brand.
Yeah, and why wouldn't it be? They get to do what they love. You know, go to cool locations and stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, Flintlock, we are still live, but not for very long, man. I'm actually getting kind of tired over here. Tired and hungry.
I am too.
I've only had a medjool date in the last 6 hours.
Oh, man. Caesar's taking off too. All right, Caesar. Hey, thanks for being in here. So I think I'm going to wrap it up too. Yeah, we're not going to set a new record tonight. We're not going to set a new record anytime soon. I mean, I thought we would hold on to the 4 hour or 4.5 hour for a long time, but now we're up to almost 7 hour stream. No, we're not breaking that one anytime soon. Maybe if Nikon drops the Z8 and get information, then we might hang around for a while for that. Or as Tim was saying, Nikon says, you know, here it is, the ZF or ZF full frame camera. Yeah, I might be able to rant for 6 or 7 hours about that thought, that idea.
God, I hope not.
That choice.
I'll be on here screaming with you too, Chuck. They'll see a part of me they haven't seen yet. That's so silly. I want that in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Whenever everything's full. Whenever they're working on the second version of the Trinity, come out with something like that.
Well, yeah, let's get a few other camera bodies out there. And somebody was saying earlier, talking about, you know, and I think I answered it then, but I just want to make sure I did. Yeah, the Z line for video has been fantastic. It only needs a few things now. And it's not that it needs to fix things. It just needs to add a few things because a lot of people out there in the video world are looking for that 10-bit 422 in body. That's key. And if possible, 4K 120, because there it is. That gives the creative filmmaker everything he wants in a body. So, and John Ishii wants me to keep calm, or maybe he does want me to keep clam. Maybe it's it. Clam up.
Keep clam.
Oh man.
Keep clam.
All right, folks. I am going to pull the plug. Sanjit, I'm so happy to see you in here tonight. We need to get you back on the show one night. You're going to have to settle down somewhere and park and give us a shout when you have good internet and join the crew. And again, to everybody that's out there, if you'd like to be in, and I invite you to come on, sit in here in the hot seat and have a good time with us. And by all means, share your experience with your brand, whether it's Nikon, Sony, Canon, whatever it is, and get in on the conversation. Thank you for those that joined for the first time tonight, or at least came by to watch for the first time tonight. I always appreciate everybody that's new. We're trying to build a community and get more and more people in here. Maybe we can change things a little bit in YouTube, make it more, nice and pleasing and fun, have conversations without, shooting everybody or getting personal. I love that. I do fear somewhere down the road, this getting so large that there are so many people in the chat that we can't keep it as personal as we have it now, so that you have a voice and you get to, share your thoughts, opinions, and everything else. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We're not quite there yet, so I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. But pass this on to your friends if you think they'd like to sit in and have a big roundtable discussion about everything under the sun pertaining to photography. And thanks for those that have even subscribed tonight. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button on your way out. Like I said, I've got my wife's shirt, or the shirt she got me for Christmas, and it saves me having to go through this spill all the time. And she counts how many times I ask for this in each one of my live streams. So just so you know. Z Wade, what do you have for parting words?
My parting words is, although we're all very, very desperate for new stuff, I just want to remind you that you should just get out and shoot. And we talked about it a little bit. Print your work. You'll be very happy you did so. And guys, just enjoy photography, please. We have these nice rants, but really at the end of the day, I know y'all are just going to go out and be like, okay, now I'm not griping, and you're going to go shoot photography anyway. So just go do it.
Yep.
And check out Z Wade Photo on YouTube.
By all means, make sure you go over and check out, if you haven't already, check out Z Wade Photo here on YouTube. He's got a lot of great instructional content and review content. But the thing I like most is his news updates that he's just recently started doing. It's fantastic. Z, keep that up, man. I think it's great.
Right on.
We also have Wayne Maddox in here tonight. Again, I just ran across his page, YouTube channel. Make sure you go over and check out Wayne Maddox here on YouTube. Wayne, thank you again for being in here. Again, you're welcome to come back. We invite you back. Oh, by the way, for those that don't know, we do 2 streams a week. Wednesday afternoon at 12 noon Eastern time. And it's about a 3-hour stream, at least, usually on Wednesdays. For all those that are in the European area, or it seems to be easier to make that stream. And then we have the Saturday night stream when it seems like Asia is more prominent because of the time zones. And so that's at 9 p.m. every Saturday night. I don't know what it equates to your time zone, but I think it's Sunday morning for most. But you're more than welcome to come by either or both. And we have some regulars. We have Roy. Roy is a regular here. He's a fantastic guy. I need to get him back in here to sit in a chair because everybody has questions for Roy about different cameras that Nikon's built over the last 100 years, which he has a copy of in the room with him. And if you ever watch the stream and you see him reach back, get ready. He's about to bring out something that we happen to be talking about. So, Roy, I always appreciate you being in here, man. I always appreciate it. So that said, who else? Another shout out, Joey from Joe Man's Land. Go check him out on YouTube. And tomorrow I'll update the description and put all the links to all these channels, everybody that I'm mentioning right now. And a shout out to Vahagan, who was busy tonight, or he'd have been in here over at Vahography. I'm sure most of you know Vahagan at Vahography, but if you don't, go check out Vahography on YouTube. By all means.
Selective Imagery. Jeff popped in for a little bit today. Go check him out too. Absolutely.
Selective Imagery. Jeff and Leslie Wildlife Photography has a YouTube channel where he posts periodically.
We got a lot of content creators that come in and chat.
Yes, we do. We do. And you know what? A lot of us are small channels, and that's what we're trying to do is lift each other up and try to help each other out and get a little more exposure so everybody else can enjoy it as well. All right. And Roy says he likes to be a regular. So, Roy, I don't know when you sleep, brother, but
I don't think he does, Chuck.
I
To be
don't
honest
either.
with you.
Andre couldn't be with us tonight because it's like 3 a.m. for him. And but we do appreciate Andre being in here when he's in here. I'm sure we'll see him Wednesday. So again, folks, either or both. If you enjoy just sitting around and arguing about photography equipment and having a good time, yep, because that's what it turns into sometimes. But by all means, come and hang out with us. That said, then that's it. Unless you guys have anything you want to say in the chat, we're about to turn it off here. And I'll give it a second. Again, thank every one of you for being in here tonight. I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks a lot, Zach.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We'll see you all Wednesday for another round of good old photography chat.